Welcome to the WTF Forum. The hosts do not give financial, legal, medical, or any kind of advice. Opinions are their own. This broadcast contains foul language and dangerous ideas. If you need a trigger warning, you are in the wrong place. Now enjoy the show.
Dear partners and friends of
What the fuck?
Forum, a very cordial welcome.
The WTF Forum is a decentralized broadcast network with no governing body of any kind, and is produced and distributed by a loosely affiliated, ever-growing network of rogue, independent content creators. This forum does not, will not, and shall not have any one location, feed, platform, or channel, but shall be shared and multiplied as nature dictates. If any listener of the following proceedings finds themselves offended, they will be asked kindly to go fuck themselves. All right, welcome to the WTF Forum. We've got a spicy episode for y'all tonight, and a spicy group to go along with it. So far, there's just 4 of us, but there may be 1 or 2 latecomers. We'll see. I am Mike the Polymath, Easy Peasy Podcast, and I will pass it to the Drizzle.
Good evening, everyone. I am the Drizzle, host of GTW Liberty Radio, and I'll pass it to Ando.
I'm Ando, Burn Babylon Burn, and the Doom Kitchen, which are basically the same thing these days. Stella.
Hey, thanks for having me again. This is Stella from Down Under in Australia, also from Union of the Unknowns podcast, and also known as the Sixth Spice Girl, Sleepy.
Is that right? You were part of the Spice Girls? They just didn't give you no credit?
Yeah, I got fired the first day, man.
I love Sleepy Spice. That's great. I bet you're the hottest one too.
I sang far too well for those chicks. If I do say so myself.
I would agree. I've listened to your music, and I was never a big Spice Girls fan, but I like your shit.
That was totally a joke. I'm not trying to self-promote. Sorry. I'm chucking the show off already.
Well, first I was all about Ginger Spice, and then I was all about Posh Spice, and then I was all about Baby Spice, but now I'm all about Sleepy Spice.
So
you've just been like sampling the buffet there as you've gone through life. The spice buffet.
I live the spicy life. Yeah, I'm into it. All into spicy life.
Is it just me, or is Ando coming in a little choppy?
A little bit.
Oh, yeah, I just closed some windows. Sorry about that.
It looks like you're home for once. Is that right?
Yeah. I've got to be home for like a week, but everything has been messed up. So you knew that I had to get new tires. You saw my old tires, right? I got home.
They were not okay.
Everything in my refrigerator was hot, like 100 degrees hot. And the box that runs my Wi-Fi was still working, but the battery had expanded. And so I have to get this new battery, right? And I've had this ordeal waiting for Amazon to send my battery, right? Now, Amazon was supposed to deliver the battery yesterday, but the day before, the day that I'm not home, the day that I go back to work, somebody knocked my mailbox over. And so today I've been digging a post hole. Luckily, my neighbor had this badass gas-powered auger. And so I got to auger into the ground a little bit. That was really fun. And yeah, I'm enjoying being at my house though. This is cool. And it's my house. I can smoke inside if I want to.
Love it. I worked in Texas just enough to know how hard it is to dig in Texas, at least in the areas that I was in. So when you said, I've spent today digging a post hole, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
Dude, if my neighbor did not offer the auger, I would still be digging that damn hole.
Yeah.
The ground is so hard here. But
Have you got that? Have you got that orange clay?
It's caliche, and the caliche is about a foot down, but I could stop at that, to put the post in for the mailbox. I could stop at that, but it's just hard and dry dirt. There was this huge storm. One of my friends was off south of here at the beach and sent me a text. Oh, hey, I'm in your hometown area. It's raining like crazy. I look at my camera. It's sunny and bright. The grass is cooking. I can see it sizzling through my camera. And yeah, I did not get a drop of that rain. It hasn't rained here in a while. And I'm 30 miles off the coast. I'm right next to a lake. All the rain has been going everywhere else.
Well, any updates from either Stella or the Drizzle? I guess before I turn over the floor, I just came home. The reason I was running late was because I went to my local No Agenda meetup.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if y'all listen to No Agenda, but if you do and you've not gone to a meetup, you're missing out. I just hung out with like 24 of the coolest people in my hometown, talking about everything you're not supposed to talk about. So it was good.
So they are living in your hometown, or are they just visiting your hometown? Oh, I don't need to know specifically, or we don't. But
no, yeah, it's all local folks.
Oh, nice.
Do you listen to No Agenda?
Indiana has a meetup every week or two.
No, once a month.
Once a month. Okay. It seems like Indiana's always having a meetup. You
Actually,
guys represent better than anybody.
Now that you say it, there's a meetup up in Fort Wayne and there's a meetup in Indy. So yeah, it's about every other week. There's one or the other. But for whatever reason, man, I think it's a good sample of just how based Hoosiers can be, bro. For whatever reason, there's more representation at the No Agenda meetups in Indiana than any other state. And again, if you don't listen to No Agenda, you should go listen to No Agenda.
So
at least give it a try.
There's another show, sort of in the same realm, and the whole value for value sort of spun off from being inspired by No Agenda. It has meetups just like that. Canary Cry, I highly recommend for everybody. Canary Cry is freaking great.
I have not listened to that one yet.
Highly recommend. It's No Agenda is Sundays and Thursdays. This is Fridays and I want to say Mondays and Fridays, but I could be wrong on that.
So same type of programming, news deconstruction and whatnot?
It's more along the lines of like Christian conspiracy stuff. So it's
gotcha.
Yeah, it's good. It's a really good
what a
show.
World.
There's
what a world where
update.
we have. I was just gonna say, where we have Christian conspiracy podcasts. What a world! What a world we're living in. You know,
well, it's 2023, man. The most dangerous people in the United States of America right now are the Orthodox Christians. Everybody knows this. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, DHS sent out a bulletin months ago. Come on.
Wasn't that bulletin from 2009? I think that was
from 2009.
They've been ahead of the curve for a long time. Yeah. Is anybody here Orthodox, or has anybody here gone to an Orthodox service? I'm curious.
I have no denomination.
Yeah, same. Well, Christian, but apart from that.
Yeah. My denomination is following Jesus. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
And and
trying to.
Good. Sorry, Drizzle.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I pledge no allegiance to any group other than Grand Theft World, really. But I've been to a lot of different denominations, ceremonies, or whatever you want to call them, even Eastern religions. And I think I even went to one from an African religion one time. I don't think I've ever been to an Orthodox service before, though.
When you say African, do you mean like Southern Baptist or
No. It's like a more tribal type of
Oh,
atmosphere.
Gotcha.
Although that might have been a party. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm very curious. I've been tempted to go to an Orthodox service. The problem is I'm such a sinner that I tend to wake up hungover on Sunday mornings. So there's that.
Well, the way I see it right now is that a lot of groups are experiencing a revival, and I would definitely say that the Orthodox Church is a big part of that right now. And I'm seeing it amongst mostly Protestants, but then the Orthodox Church big time. And what I'm trying to figure out is what the main thoroughfare is, what the interstate that goes through all of this. And I think it's just that it's the end times. And according to Revelation, that there's several churches in the end, and 2 of them are somewhat behaving, and the rest of them are completely screwed. But they're still the best people in the world during Revelation. And I can believe that about us in our time. So Revelation could be happening now. What's that?
Best of the bad bunch, you mean?
Yeah, the best of the bad bunch is Smyrna and Philadelphia, but it's not Smyrna, Georgia, or Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's Smyrna and Philadelphia in I believe in Turkey. Both of those churches. So, but I also think that it's not specifically those churches that would have been talked about then whenever those cities existed. It's probably a tradition that comes from those churches, because I think there's 7 or 8 in the end times. I could look that up if you're interested.
So if you had to guess, if there's only 2, if I'm hearing you right, there's only 2 real churches at the end of times, according to Scripture. Is that what I just heard you say?
No. I said that 2 that are somewhat behaving. They're both not perfect, and yeah, there's only 2 that are somewhat behaving, and the rest of them are all kind of a mess. And this figures, and I would say that one of the reasons why a lot of people of my generation, of our generation, because we're all around the same age, we're not interested in church, is because we probably smelled the corruption. Mm-hmm. And given enough time, anything can get corrupted, especially in the world of because the devil runs the world. And that's the thing that we all have to know.
The churches are definitely in the crosshairs, like big time. How much influence the devil can have over society and humankind if they can infiltrate the church. Look at the masses that follow the Pope. So everything's infiltrated, of course, but the churches are definitely one of the top of the list there. And I've seen it myself. In fact, I was married by a preacher who then turned and took a whole bunch of the church funds, bought himself a Harley, and started doing drug runs up the east coast of Australia. That's probably had a lot to do with how the marriage went too. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Thanks for that, dude.
Well, I grew up in like the, I guess you'd call it like non-denominational Protestant kind of world. I went to church like growing up, and it was always the rock and roll for Jesus type of church, right? Big plasma screen TVs and fog machines and laser lights and rock and roll for Jesus.
The happy clappies.
Yeah. And it always, to me, I didn't quite realize it till I grew up a little bit, but it kind of felt like spiritual masturbation in my opinion. It was kind of like, oh, we're going to get together every week and we're going to worship with this like totally non-traditional style of music, and like I said, like fog machines, laser lights and shit. And it kind of, as I became a teenager, it kind of irked me. I'm like, this does not feel real. You know, it feels kind of contrived. I don't know what y'all's experience has been in the church, but the reason I'm kind of intrigued by orthodoxy is the fact that it's so rooted in tradition and it's more or less unchanged. I'm like, I don't see the value of a religion that was basically shaped to fit the mold of modern life, modernity, right? Like, I don't know. Any comments there?
Well, that was kind of the whole reason why I started questioning just like even the authenticity of like the Bible at a very young age, because the whole thing that I was sold, and I grew up in well, I guess I didn't really grow up, but my younger years up till about 10 or 11 years old, I was forced to go to a Presbyterian church in the town that we lived in every Sunday. And I started sniffing out the corruption and the hypocrisy very, very early. But like with the whole concept that they were trying to sell to us as the Bible being the word of God. Well, if it's the word of God and God is perfect, why did man need to alter the word of God through time? Like it was just kind of that whole dichotomy of, or I mean, hell, it's actually it's dissonance. What it's doing is it's installing cognitive dissonance in people, saying this is the word of God and the word of God is perfect, but we're going to cut out this one part here because it's not really convenient to the other stuff that we want you to believe.
Do you still feel that way, Drizzle, or because you were saying that even as a child?
I have not re-examined the Bible since then. I'll put it that way. I would say I've dabbled in the Bible here and there throughout my life, but I've never given it a very serious critical study.
Yeah. Oh, look, I am 100% on board with you there, because I'm going through all that now. I would say I'm sort of probably more at this later end of my life. Well, gosh, that makes me sound like a fossil. Now, later in life, I am sort of questioning things way more. I mean, I've been distracted with having babies and all that sort of thing, so I didn't really. But yeah, I've recently sort of come across quite a number, because I felt the same way as a child. I would question things kind of in my head, but not really bring it to the surface, I suppose, or investigate it very much. But I've been through a couple of different churchy experiences. But just now, yeah, very much questioning the changing. There has been quite a number of changes, and when you start looking at how many men, guided men that have written the Bible, and how many translations they've been through, and then you look at the languages and the actual art of translation, it's incredible. Like, unless you've studied a lot of these old languages, you don't understand that one word can mean something in one context and mean something else in another, and sometimes it might be just the way the word was said, like the emphasis or something like that. It's very, very complex.
Very
So
subtle.
totally with you. Yeah, and it's just like, it only takes one subtle change to actually change the intent or the meaning of something that could be very, very, well, it's all important, but you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, it's totally valid, and I think that anybody who doesn't question and keep searching, it just reaches stagnation. That's got to keep asking questions.
I've been really interested in the talks from people that are pre-Nicene, and basically it confirms a lot of things that I feel about things, and I'm just not sure if that's the right way. And and I know that Orthodox people would be like, heck no to that, you know? And so
Mhm.
whenever I look at things and, you know, I know that the drizzle also has been exposed to Jordan Maxwell, and as have I, and
And
there's a
me.
lot of things that are very contradictory, and you know, I keep all that stuff in mind.
Yep.
I'm not one of these people that just, you know, that believes that if it's in the book, it's, you know, that it's important. You know, it's like whenever King James translated the Bible, he's a fucking blood drinking pedophile, just like the elites of today. He fucking drank blood. He was a fucking witch, a fucking pedophile, a disgusting fucking person. King James, it was revolting and aberrant to our religion, you know? And all these people are like, read the King James version. The other versions have been liberalized. It's like, oh, you took the version from the satanic pedophile and then you liberalized it. And it's like, that's going to be even worse, I'm sure. So the thing is, you know, keep an open mind and understand that there is a message that God / Jesus, same thing, depending on who you agree with, you know, but they want you to have a certain understanding, and you can get that same understanding regardless if, you know, if you're reading something that a satanic pedophile had translated.
Exactly. And I want to really emphasize and stress that there's no way that I'm questioning the existence of Jesus or the infilling of the Holy Spirit in any way, shape, or form. Prayer has proven to work in my life. So it's just the detail. The devil's in the details. I mean, you know, it's just question stuff. I mean, history, as we know, we're all finding out, history has been, a lot of it's been a lie written by the victors. We're finding out now that there has been so much that we need to question and just haven't really. So 2020 has been, in one way, a hell of a blessing, because people who are thinking are waking up even more. You know, there's got to be some good stuff here.
You know, I almost think what we're hitting on here is like this idea of blind faith, right? And
100%.
I don't think blind faith is a virtue. So for instance,
that,
like, well, I was just going to
as
say, like,
Christian conspiracy people, right? You know, we're Christian conspiracy people. We question everything, you know, the, you know, Ryan always says, question everything. We question everything. And so I think that that's okay. And I think that that's what God / Jesus / everything wants you to do. Question all of the shit. You know, don't take it for face value, because taking it for face value can, you know, it can end up, you know, you could end up in a cult pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the funny thing, is that a lot of people say that conspiracy people are cultists, you know, that we're in a cult. You know, my ex has accused me of being in a cult.
Like, join the club.
No.
Join the club.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think this is like driving at something pretty critical. And like, for example, the church I grew up in, you know, it was a cool, by all accounts, it was a cool church. Like, the youth program was cool. Like, I made a lot of friends as like a young person from church, and I went to church camp and I worshiped, and I was a full-blown believer. And the sad part of it was the head pastor of the church ended up having an affair with one of the elders' wives, and it destroyed the entire congregation. Mm-hmm. And it was because everyone had blind faith in the head pastor. And until the reality, the ugly, you know, grim reality came to the surface, it was very easy to like blindly follow. But then this shit, you know, shook out, and it ruined the entire church. It frankly like put a sort of tarnish on my own personal faith, because I'm like these are the people I believed in, and they were full of shit, man. And so like I think the theme, which I think we'll be hitting on over and over tonight, is you can be 90% based and 10% bogus, and that 10% outweighs the 90.
Can I
Catch my
jump in
drift?
there? Yeah,
Yeah,
can I jump in
please.
there, Mike? I think you hit the nail on the head when you just said, these are the people I believed in.
Mhm.
That was the
Mhm.
problem.
Yeah.
This is where I hate saying the devil because it sounds, but Satan, whatever you want to call the black dude.
Evil,
Yeah,
whatever.
evil. That is the
Why's it
target.
got to be a black dude?
Yeah. Oh, whoops. Thank you.
Hey, we're gonna get there. Don't
Get it?
worry.
Get it? Yeah, nothing intended. The evil dude. Yeah, of course they're gonna target the most powerful people. In for this circumstance, that congregation was the dude that everyone believed in, and so his life was not only ruined, and the person he was having an affair with wasn't only ruined, but the whole congregation was ruined, and that all fell apart. And then all the people that those people talked to, the ripple effect is huge. So, and that's happening all over the world. I mean, I don't know if you guys have heard of Hillsong here in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
The
must have heard
Christian rock and roll band, right?
it. Yeah, that was the thing. Actually, I was going to say before. It was when sort of going to church started becoming entertainment.
Yes.
And that is very much worshipping idols. I mean, my brother was musical director in the Christian City Church in Brookvale in the 80s. And Hillsong, well, yeah, I think they might have sort of, Hillsong might have been born out of that. But anyway, I can't really remember. But that was sort of the beginning of all those happy clappy Pentecostal churches, which the purpose of that was to bring life into, I hate to say religion, but bring some spirituality into religiosity, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because you've got the Anglicans and all that, blah, 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 everyone just tunes out, But so bring a little bit of modern music and some rock and roll and bring some production in. Oh, I know. I don't want to say too much, but I know the business that used to supply Hillsong with a lot of equipment, okay, like recording equipment. Their recording studios and their TV studios and everything, like state of the art, absolutely incredible. Millions and millions of dollars. So they became very, very powerful. And yeah, the whole thing, the whole purpose, Jesus, I think they put Jesus in the broom closet, It's like, you just wait there. If we need you, we'll call. You know what I mean? That's sort of what happened. And then Hillsong, I don't know if you know that story, but I'll let someone else talk now.
Well, I grew up
where
on.
we're at.
Go ahead, Ando.
Okay, sorry. Where we're at, we're so far away from the time of Jesus, and supposedly it's been 2,000 years, and I want to say supposedly because there is theories that entire centuries have been confused by historians. But the centermost piece of the Bible is Psalms 118. And I wanted to read that to y'all. And it is that it is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in the princes. All nations compass me about, but the name of the Lord, I will destroy them. They compass me about, yeah, they can pass me about, but they are in the name of the Lord, and I will destroy them. So you don't trust men. You don't trust other people and just say, like, this dude told me, this guy told me, this person did the research. You learn what you can as much as you can from as close to the source as possible. But you gotta pray for discernment. And this is why it's so special in the time that we live in, because it's 2,000 years that we've had since Jesus was on the earth, is that we've had this time with the Holy Spirit. And has the world gotten better in 2,000 years? I mean, technologically, yeah. But have we gotten more faithful? Have we gotten more devout? Have we gotten more Christian in 2,000 years since the Holy Spirit entered our life?
Have we become
No.
better people? Like
Right.
as a species, have we become
Yeah.
better?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see it. You know, it's like Jesus left us, and almost immediately we became worse. We should have
But
became
Jesus
better.
didn't leave us. Jesus didn't leave us. If you've
Well,
been,
I mean,
if you've accepted the infilling of the Holy Spirit,
Yeah.
then He's still in you. That's
Yeah,
what's going to
yeah,
get
I
us
mean-
through this.
He was executed by the people that were supposed to be waiting for him for a very long time.
And are still waiting.
So
Yeah, and
so
they're still waiting. We found our Messiah.
in some
Amen.
ways, I feel like wow, like, okay, so I'm not a practicing Christian, but I am becoming ever more faithful despite not practicing. And it's kind of like the more I discover that the people that I want to trust are fallible, the more I realize, like, you know, faith in God, faith in Christ is maybe the most rational decision, because, you know, in preparation for this episode, I've got a number of clips here lined up, but it's kind of like I think this is going to be like a based or bogus episode with like 4 or 5 different people. And I'm just going to come out and say right fucking now that they're all at least 10% bogus. Right. And I have to admit, you know, Ando threw out this based or bogus George Carlin. And I responded by saying, oh, like, obviously based. Like, I love George Carlin. Like, his comedy has spoken to me. It's almost comforted me at times. And the response of like, well, let's take a deeper look. Like, he was kind of bogus. It made me realize, what it made me realize is that Carlin, like so many other celebrities, is a false idol. People put him on a pedestal. They act like he can do no wrong. And because he had a certain level of intelligence and coherence, he was very easy to believe as like a based sort of philosophical kind of guy, right? But when you take a 10,000 foot view of what he was saying, the truth of it is he said some bullshit, right? And we've got a clip, but any comments before we jump into it? Should I just play it?
Well, I mean, you can, but you're touching on what I think is one of the fundamental complications of the human experience as we know it. And it's interesting that we're getting to this topic because I've been reading a book that's a collection of lectures by Rudolf Steiner. And I'm about halfway through it. And a lot of what he is touching upon in these lectures is what you've been outlining, is this tendency of the human animal to view its peer as being superior to itself for whatever reason it is that we use to justify this
Drizzle,
to ourselves.
who is Rudolf Steiner? Please go back a little bit. Who was Rudolf Steiner?
You might actually know more about that than I do, Ando. I'm only familiar with him because his name was given to one of the schooling system, the Steiner schools. So he was what, a German, I guess you could call him a philosopher, but he was more like a spiritual philosopher.
Prussian schooling?
No. This is opposite from Prussian schooling. This is, matter of fact, the Steiner schools are the exact opposite of the Prussian system. They are an exploratory type of learning. It's not regimented. It's not structured. It's essentially the student is allowed to direct their own education, and the teacher is there to help guide them in the process.
I'm not an expert, but I very much invite you to look into the roots of Rudolf Steiner and where he gets his philosophies from. Because
what do you know? Just tell
well,
us
I
what
don't
you
know.
know, because I don't know
I
anything.
don't know a whole lot, and I'm not going to say a whole lot because I haven't got stuff in front of me to points to make or what have you. But just recently, like I haven't taken a whole lot of notice of Rudolf Steiner along my life, because to me he was, I don't know, maybe it was a spiritual thing. I just sort of kept him at a bit of a distance, even though I did like his philosophies, and I thought that what Drizzle just described there with the education system sounded like a pretty good idea. Instead of it being regimented and what have you, it was more like, I suppose, just the school of life, I suppose. But I do wonder, though, was that the sort of the very beginning shift of taking discipline away, that kind of thing, like loosening structure, I suppose, and then allowing things to slip in, like removing scripture from school and that kind of thing. So there's that. But please don't quote me on this, but I seem to remember there was some connection with Alice Bailey there. So but
Yes,
just
yes, because I'm trying to think, the word that he uses to describe his philosophical system is anthroposophical, I believe is how it's pronounced, which he was presenting at the time. And again, we have to remember this was back in the very early 20th century, around the time of World War I. He was presenting his process, I guess you would call it, as essentially the antithesis to the Theosophical Society. In other words, he was like, we know what they're doing, we know where it's going to lead, and we don't want that. So we're going to do this instead.
Real quick, I just looked him up on Wikipedia. Can I read his Wikipedia to the audience just so that they have a little understanding? Okay.
Remembering it's Wikipedia. Oh no!
Oh no!
And he
Alice
leaves, the studio.
Look, all right, agent, just let Ando back in, because the people who were here to view that part of the content, they're gone now. So
hey, there's RBL. We lost Ando,
but
how you doing, bub?
So Ando's the one who invites me, and then he bounces as soon as I show up. This is twice.
Literally, like the moment you showed up. Here he is.
Oh,
what's
man.
up?
You want me to do your light work or what?
Sorry, I clicked the leave button whenever I was looking for the square that shows. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to do that, but here it is. Rudolf
Scared
Steiner.
The hell out of it.
He was born in 1861 and he died in 1925. He was an Austrian occultist, social reformer, architect, esotericist, and claimed clairvoyant. He gained initial recognition as a literary critic and published works such as The Philosophy of Freedom. Steiner was a highly trained scientist and respected philosopher in his time, who later came to prominence for his spiritual scientific approach to knowledge called anthroposophy. That's what y'all just talked about. He believed that Western civilization would bring destruction on itself, and that the earth, if it did not begin to develop an objective understanding of the spiritual world and its interrelationship with the physical world. Steiner's spiritual scientific methods and insights have given birth to practical holistic innovations.
Oh no!
Oh man!
We lost Ando.
While we're just waiting for Ando to come back, can I just?
You didn't lose me. Sorry. I mean, I'm here. I was reading, and this thing, if you're away from the screen for more than a certain amount of time, it'll let you go. Here, I'll give you some more. Okay. Here we go. Steiner's spiritual scientific methods and insights have given birth to practical holistic innovations in many fields, including education, banking, medicine, psychology, the arts, and agriculture. In the first, more philosophically oriented phase, Steiner attempted to find the synthesis between science and mysticism, which he termed spiritual science. I think that's really cool, because I don't see science the same way that all the trust the science people came at me. Science is basically humans figuring out how God did it.
Mhm.
And I think God really wants us to do that. I don't think that God wants us to act like the trust the science people did, though.
I don't know.
Because again, that's just creating another idol to put your blind faith in.
See, this is what I think that's what I'm trying to get at here. Okay.
Well, I tweeted this out like, what was it, a week or two ago, right, Ando? I was like, we live in the age of golden calves. Like, that's all we
Yep.
have.
Yeah, well put. While I was just looking up Alice Bailey there, this will just say something, okay? People also search for Deval Kuhl, Helena Blavatsky, and Rudolf Steiner. Now, if you know who any of those people are, they're all kind of in the same basket there. I think it was Alice Bailey who was channeling Deval Kuhl, who I've only just sort of started to read a little bit about. But let's put it this way. It's not a place I would be going as a Christian. Okay, I'll just leave it there.
So you said golden calf, Drizzle, and I'm thinking that Burger King, now that they've released black burgers in Japan, I believe it was, and they recently released pink burgers for the Barbie movie. Soon they will.
When do we get white burgers?
No,
it'll have to be veal. It'll have to be a golden veal burger, so it's a calf.
Yeah, the golden veal. Yeah, the golden veal burger. It's coming. It's coming to a Burger King near you. Stand by.
Find some young horses.
So I think the whole point. I don't know who any of those folks y'all just rattled off are. I have no clue.
Definitely, I know who that is.
Well, let me put it this way.
Yeah, Alice Bailey wrote The Externalization of the Hierarchy, which basically, if you read through the whole text, and again, this is esoteric occult type stuff. Like this is the stuff that you get into once you realize that what we're taught in school is just complete garbage, and you start going and looking for your own answers. But essentially, the externalization of the hierarchy is a blueprint that lays out the path that humanity has taken from essentially the time of the Industrial Revolution up to its current moment, with very few errors in the text, which is kind of incredible in and of itself.
Can I also say that Alice Bailey is also who David Icke sort of originally based a lot of his information on. Mm-hmm. So there's that. Beware of him.
Wait, Stella, by the way, you've recently talked about David Icke in the channel, about how a lot of people should not trust David Icke.
I encourage you to go and look at the was it David Icke Debunked by Chris White. You have to put the title in, which I don't have handy, exactly as it is, or else it's really hard to find. So you have to put it in like with the correct capitals and everything of the title.
Wait, but I mean, just because David Icke is wrong doesn't mean lizard people aren't real. Because whenever I'm on a plane and I say that motherfucker is not real, I fucking mean it. I said that with 2 fingers up and 2 fingers down.
We didn't ever cover that, did we?
Yeah, it was probably last week or the week before. But you know what? I like to think that we're better for not covering that.
I agree.
That everybody covered that.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
Yeah. No, we go a little deeper than the surface. That lady, I think that lady was just drunk. I'm going on the record saying I think she was just drunk. Doesn't mean she wasn't doing some satanic shit. Maybe she is possessed, but
I'll go on the record saying I think she was an intelligence asset, and that was an op.
That was absolutely agree, Drizzle.
Okay. So
I'm with everybody on the internet whenever I say it doesn't matter. She's freaking hot.
Yeah.
She was hot. Yeah. I'll give you that.
Yeah, she was very well groomed and yes, very, very well choreographed and put together, wasn't she?
I heard some people say she looks military, even. The way The
Her hair.
A little bit.
The hair was
See how thick
tied
that
up.
core
Yeah.
was? That was
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
workout
Good point.
girl.
So possibly an op. So okay, I'm gonna try to I want to keep a theme here, right? And I think the theme that you could describe it one of two ways: false idols or Gnosticism, right? Okay, so what I'm realizing, I think, and I think it's fitting for the WTF forum, because the whole point of the WTF forum is that we're asking questions. We're asking the question, what the fuck, right? Because it don't make no sense. And what I'm getting at here, before you jump in, Ando, I'm seeing the utility of faith in that we can pretend that we can know things, or we can accept the fact that we need to have faith, because things are not always going to make sense, right?
Yes.
I'm a pretty new Christian as of I was baptized a little over a year ago. I started dabbling in it about 2 years ago, but I still consider myself very new, and I don't 100% disagree with Gnostics, and that's another reason why I'm not Orthodox and haven't dabbled in Orthodoxy, is that there is a high possibility that the deity that we know as Yahweh is not what we should be following, and he has a lot of names, and I've run this by my aunt. She doesn't 100% shut me down, which is a thing. And, it is a thing that she doesn't 100% shut me down. But we've talked about it. We've had our debates about Esau and Jacob recently. That was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it was only 40 minutes, because I really that one is always stuck with me, because I see how those people, the people that say that they came from Jacob, behave, and I see them behaving just like Jacob. And then I also see that us as pagans, as people that formed, the pagan religions and whatnot, we all got absorbed by Jesus at a time. Jesus came and said, "Hey, you guys can enter my fold at this point," And what did those guys do? All these guys said, "Yeah, it's my fucking birthright, man. I gotta have this fucking birthright. And fuck you, Jesus. You're boiling in shit." That's what they did. Sorry for the South Park voices, but I mean, that's basically how they reacted to everything. And the thing is okay, so maybe we were the children of Esau. Maybe we were Edom, because they say that the Edom came from Italy. That's what most of the rabbis say. I don't think that Esau was bad. Esau slew Nimrod, and Nimrod was the biggest tyrant of all time. And I know you've seen in the channel that they're talking about resurrecting Gilgamesh, right? And Gilgamesh and Gilgamesh and Nimrod are related. A lot of people believe that Nimrod and Gilgamesh are the same thing, and that Nimrod actually just means rebel. That was the name for the word rebel, and that Gilgamesh was the proper name of the person that tried to build the Tower of Babel, the person that tried to achieve immortality for man. And here we are seeing all of these crazy fucks like Yuval Noah Harari trying to achieve immortality.
Project
and we
Gilgamesh.
deify whores, as Nimrod did when he took a prostitute for a wife and made her a goddess queen of Babylon. I mean, sorry.
What was the first thing you said there?
Never apologize, RBL, by the way. Everything you add is...
We deify whores. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what I said. Thanks.
See,
Yes.
yeah, man. I
we seem
couldn't
to be doing this a lot.
That's part of the
And
goddess
it's like,
is returning. Yeah.
yeah.
I just want to, like when you were talking about, you started out, Mike, when you were
Mhm.
in your last comments about blind faith, etc., and whether we need to pursue the knowledge. It just made me think of Genesis. Like at the very, very beginning, it was a lack of faith that was the cause of the fall of man.
And the tree of knowledge, right?
Exactly.
The
I was just
assumption
about to say that.
the assumption of knowledge, right? There's a vast difference between knowledge and, like, I don't know, discernment, wisdom. Yeah, exactly. You can know many things, but not be wise, right?
Do you guys know the story of Enoch?
Hmm.
The book of Enoch? Have you ever read it or I've listened to it on YouTube?
Exactly.
It's certainly making a resurgence. I have heard that stuff about Yahweh, Ando, what you were referring to, and I'm not learned in it enough to comment too much, but that gnosis knowledge seems to be coming prevailing at the moment, which is not a bad thing. As I said, we've got to question everything. I'm still searching my way through that. It certainly doesn't mean, as I have heard some people say, it doesn't mean eradicate Jesus. It just means that possibly something that was written about that is in reference to Yahweh, as some people call Jesus, may not have been exactly that person. But I don't know. But there is definitely a lot of very interesting knowledge coming to the surface now. But again, I'm also aware that there's a lot of deception, and there's going to, in the last, if this is the last day, isn't it? Sure as heck looks like it. There's going to be a lot of unsettling and unseating of fundamental beliefs, and that's why I think in the end, for all of us, it's going to come down to, and I'm speaking probably more spiritually, like we're in an empty room and there is just nobody else left except Jesus. And it's just going to be us and him. We can't rely on anybody else. That's my take.
Thank you. That's so
Yeah.
right, Stella. Thank you.
I was gonna say, like, what I'm learning is to be skeptical of anybody who thinks they know. In general, you catch my
That's
drift.
wise. That is very wise.
So like, as much as I want to trust and like follow, right? It's almost like somebody tell me what's real. So I go to Joe Rogan, or I go to Russell Brand, or I go to Tom Woods, or I go to Dave Smith, or I could go on and on, right? Like,
can I drop the nuke here?
yeah, please.
I go to Ron Paul. I trust
Paul.
Ron Paul.
Yes, that's the most based of all names mentioned heretofore.
He's pretty much the most based, and has been for what, 50 fucking years.
He's got like
he's
40
still
years.
A human.
Yes,
still.
But
here's the deal.
Drizzle just said it. Drizzle said it. He's still a human. He's still a human.
As somebody who listens to Ron
He
Paul
still
every day,
giggles like a fucking 6-year-old.
Yeah, well,
he's like, he's not jaded or anything by it. I worry about him.
The king of bass, though, is Daniel McAdams.
I worry about him getting worked up.
And Daniel keeps him on track a lot of times. And I fucking love Daniel. He is king bass.
Yeah. He says things on social media that he doesn't say on the show that are super based.
Exactly.
But you're right, Mike. If anyone says they know, I'm 100% run the other way, because faith is a belief system. That's all it is. And that's a personal thing. You cannot thrust it upon somebody else or inflict peace on somebody like some people do. So yeah, you're right there, and that's very wise.
Giving away your power by outsourcing critical thinking to others.
Yes,
exactly.
You are abdicating your critical thinking. Or rather than actually critical thinking, like you're outsourcing your faith. You're putting your faith in another human who is fallible, right?
Exactly.
Like, it was
we all
actually
are.
It was super helpful this week. Like, I really had to ask myself why, when Ando asked the question, George Carlin, based or bogus, I was so ready to say, obviously based. Because once I looked at the video you sent, I'm like, yeah, like he was sharing a Gnostic sort of message of
Bro,
like of nihilism. He's basically a nihilist.
Yeah.
the otherwise though, I mean, like whenever you did a like 2.5 hours of Mel Gibson based or bogus, I didn't know a
Yeah.
lot of these things, a lot of the bogus things about Mel, who I would
Yeah.
also say is 10% bogus at least, at minimum
least.
10. You know,
Yes.
I'm like, dude, he is like one of the most base people of all time. But
But
you know,
he was also a horrible well, you know, it's so hard to say, but I shared the entirety, darn near, of this recording that his ex-wife, you know, shared with the public, where he was saying just horrible things. There is no like denying the things that he said were horrible. The fact is, though, we still don't know the backstory. You know, it's her word against his, but he's still fallible. He's still flawed.
and
And
one of the
yeah.
things that I brought up in the channel is that you know, all of these people, they evoke a spirit of iconoclasm, and you
They're
know,
all false idols. Yeah.
well, no, I mean, like they are saying, you know, like all your icons are bullshit and everything like that, and you know, and like follow me, I'm more interesting, or whatever they say. You know, it doesn't matter, but they say something along those lines. But it's also that same spirit that we get to have now as we take them down.
Yes. Okay, so you're hitting on exactly the thing that I'm having a hard time putting words to, but the folks that seem like the counter narrative are not necessarily the counter narrative, right? I have a progression here kind of planned out, and I'll tell you who it is. There's direct connection between the narratives of George Carlin, Ice Cube, Jamie Foxx. You know, there's one or two others, but
right, lay it on me.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to string this together, and I'll try to be as brief as I can. But here's George Carlin, right?
You know, for a person that started out, was raised in Harlem, to now finding yourself celebrating your career in, of all places, Aspen.
Yeah.
I can't think of two more antithetical places than Harlem and Aspen.
Aspen, way too many whites.
Way too many whites.
Way too many whites. In fact, go around the world, way too many whites, even though they're outnumbered, way too many. I can't wait until the brown and the black people begin showing up in the big war canoes to get their stuff back. Wouldn't that be fun? Isn't that going to be great? Because they're already showing up in England, you know, all that colony stuff. The chickens are coming home to roost. Hey, the food stump, man! The food stump! They're all going. The price.
That's right. If symbolically, we should all wear pilgrim suits.
Yes.
I'm sitting there and I have my notebook out and I'm enjoying the show, and I wish I could live 1,000 years to watch this all develop. The rise of Russia, the rise of China, the Muslimization of Europe, the decline of the white race. It's going to be an amazing story as it develops, and I just wish I could see it all. I'm 70 now. I'll probably live to between 90 and 100, I think, and I'll get to see some of it, but it is an interesting, exciting thing to watch if you can detach yourself emotionally.
Okay, that's enough for now. He goes on.
Well, he was wrong about one thing, obviously.
Go ahead.
He didn't live to be 90 or 100.
Yeah, he died less than a year after that interview. But he goes on. There's a montage of him making jokes about white people, like very self-deprecating kind of jokes. And I was inclined to think he was being basically sarcastic, with the comments that he made in those clips, as well as like the self-deprecating, like white people humor. But when you see it all clipped together, it's kind of alarming. And it's kind of like he was self-loathing and he was nihilistic. And it's easy to look at him because he's confident and charming and funny and assume he knows what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah.
When you look at this horrible empire that whites built, you're sitting here and you're like, okay, this whites built this freaking horrible, ridiculous empire. You know, like look at it right now. For instance, you know that you got, you know, white man Mike Pence, who is so white he's got white hair. You know, and he's in here. He's like telling you that he does not care about the shit that's happening in your cities. That he does not. It's not his concern that your cities are turning into complete shitholes, you know. But at the same time, you look at it and you see those guys. You see those guys up top, and if you can really see, if you got the real eyes, you can see the guys that rub their hands together during this whole thing. You know, the culture that the society. Everything, the culture, the society, everything that whites built is always going to be fragile. And it's because it requires, you know, taking over areas. And, you know, when you see, for instance, the United States, easy right there, you know, and even Australia, whenever you see that one. You can think about all these things. Things have gotten better for all of those people. Those people actually like the suffering that they took during those times, whenever they were being eradicated from their lands and whatnot. They're doing fucking better than anybody else. Whenever you see a conquering from another race, from another group of people, they don't even exist. They're not left. They kill them completely. They eradicate them completely. They don't hang on to any traces of this. And
we're gonna get to reparations. That's like the end of this whole plot here, and that's kind of, I think, what you're hitting on, right? I've gotten into arguments with people who have told me we should give the national parks and the national forests back to the natives. And you know what I say? I say, what natives? You know, where, like, I mean, yeah, there's what, you know, 20,000, 30,000 Native Americans probably left at this point. Like, and how do you demonstrate, oh, okay, your lineage takes you back to here. Your lineage takes you back to here. This is the same fundamental question as like reparations. It's a genealogical question. It's how do you prove that you are owed something from someone else because their ancestors did something to your ancestors? You know,
well, look at modern day Germany, though. Like you can't even say certain things without like on the internet. You know, like if this can end up in us receiving an email from the German government. You know that, right? That happens?
Say it again.
They're policing internet content, right?
What's that?
They're policing internet content. Is that what you mean?
More so than anybody. That especially like things that go against liberalism and multiculturalism. If you go against liberalism and multiculturalism, you will receive an email from the German government because your narrative is counter to what they're all about.
Well, they also have different laws than some other countries do as well. For instance, I believe, and somebody please correct me on this if I am wrong, but in the nation of Germany, Holocaust denial is actually a crime that you can be prosecuted for. And they seek to go outside of their legal jurisdictions in order to prosecute those crimes sometimes, which is exactly part of what you're talking about.
Okay. All right. Keeping this thread. I'm trying to keep the thread. Basically, the only connection from George Carlin to Ice Cube is that Ice Cube put out this video. Y'all probably saw it, where he says, "I ain't a part of their club." He's basically making a direct George Carlin reference, where George Carlin said, "It's a big club and you ain't in it." And what's so fascinating, so
well, there's another connection between the two of them as well.
Let me just real quick. I'll just say, as much as I believe that George Carlin and Ice Cube think that they are counter narrative, they are still serving the narrative in a certain way. And it's just really hard to see between the lines. But this is what I'm starting to realize. Go ahead, Drizzle. Sorry.
Well, the other connection that they share is that other people identified them as being prominent civil rights activists.
Have you all heard about the contract with Black America, quote unquote? I didn't discover this till today, but I went into the Ice Cube. I went into the Ice Cube territory, and Ice Cube in like 2018 started pushing this shit about the contract with Black America. It was all about reparations. It was all about
he was pushing it hard in 2020.
Yeah, I guess it was maybe 2020 into 2020.
Yeah.
But I don't know if y'all have noticed, but he's been in the spotlight for the last couple weeks because it's come out that he turned down a movie role. So he didn't want to get vaccinated, so he put he left $9 million on the table and walked away from a role. And now he's going on a podcasting tour, basically to expose the gatekeepers, right? Like he's kind of doing his version of, I don't know, Kanye, Alex Jones. I don't know who
Mel
you want
Gibson,
but he's doing it in a very soft way. Okay. So he apparently
he's the token black guy.
Sort of, kind of. Yeah. Yeah. And he's not. Okay. So hang on. I got clips.
I'm only half joking about that, by the way.
Yeah. Well, he is kind of the token black guy. I'm not disagreeing, but he was on Bill Maher most recently. Right. And everybody's talking about this interview. I found this section pretty interesting. I think I'll play maybe 4 or 5 minutes.
It's interesting. We were talking, I don't know, an hour ago or something about how celebrities, right, their mind goes cuckoo because there's too much adulation. You're exalted by people, so you can get away with anything. It's a little like that when you're a cop, because you can just basically do anything because you are the police. Yeah. What are they going to do? Call a cop? I am a cop. That is a kind of, first of all, it's a lot of power to trust with a person. But of course, the alternative is not feasible. We do need police, but it is a lot of power. So you should pick much more carefully the kind of people who you're giving that power to. You're giving them a monopoly on violence.
I don't think they care, because here's why.
You and I.
They don't. When those cops go out and do something bad,
yeah,
the police don't get the bill. Like the police, nothing happens to the police department. It all goes to City Hall. They have to pay it.
Right.
The police still get their money. Nobody loses a dime.
Right.
Now, if you made police get insurance, now is, do you want to be a racist or you want to keep your badge? Because if you keep getting these complaints or you keep brutalizing people and costing us money, we're going to take away your insurance, buddy. We're taking away your badge. You're out of a career. So it's the insurance company call. But the police won't do that.
But it's always an opinion.
A doctor has to get insurance. Why not a cop?
The hard part of it is because cops are engaging with borderline people as their job. They're not engaging with the people who are just going about their lives, not doing anything shady generally.
Mhm.
So, and they're scared, and we've covered that. They shouldn't put their safety ahead of the citizens, but that's who you deal with. I had a cop on my old show, Politically Incorrect, and he said, when I worked in the Spanish neighborhood, I hated Spanish people. When I worked in the black neighborhood, I hated black people. And when I worked in the valley, I hated white people.
Mhm.
That's the problem.
Yeah, because you're dealing with, people at their worst. You're dealing with people at their worst every day. I think.
Okay, I'm going to pause here because my point in sharing this segment, right? These are, in my opinion, these are two honest, genuine people who are trying to figure it out, but haven't quite gotten there yet. Like I think
Bill Maher is big time disingenuous.
You think?
Oh,
I mean,
totally.
But okay, let me just for the sake of argument.
Bill Maher is one of the gatekeepers.
I won't disagree, but giving the benefit of the doubt, like I almost see like there's a possibility that these are potentially two guys that are changing their worldview a little at a time. And they're like halfway there, right? Like the whole, like you can be 80, 90% based and 10, 20% bogus, and you're still super bogus. And I almost want to give like these guys and Rogan and all these characters who I want to at least not have faith in them, but give them the benefit of recognizing their humanness and that they might actually be good faith actors, even if they still in certain ways kind of promote the narrative, even if from the opposite side.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
All right. Ice Cube said he was going to go on a whirlwind tour of podcasts to put the gatekeepers on notice. And maybe it's because I'm in that business. I paid attention to people's reaction to this outburst from Mr. Cube, and the podcasting world went nuts. Like literally everyone was trying to book him for their show. And whose shows did he end up going on? He went on Joe Rogan, and he went on Bill Maher, and he went on throw out some other shows that he went on, because I don't know what all the other appearances he made were.
Pierce Morgan, he went
Piers
on.
Morgan,
That's
thank you.
Not a podcast.
I know for a fact he did not go on a show that has less than 1 million in their audience. So who exactly are these gatekeepers that he was putting on notice? That's my question.
Has he been on Tim Pool or Russell Brand yet?
Not as far as I know. I don't.
He'll get there.
Yeah.
I think there were some good points raised by Mr. Cube, and let's just take a moment to think about the name. Where he says, when police are in black areas, they hate black people. When they're in certain areas, they hate those people. It's like there lies, that says it all. There lies the problem. The problem is not the race, the color, the culture. The problem is the human heart. And, everywhere you go where there's humans, you're going to find that. So it really does come down to, I hate saying this, but it does come down to black and white. Really, in the end, you've either got a good heart or you haven't. And obviously there's going to be people around you that are going to influence you, whether they be directly in your circles or idols or things you listen to, what have you. The human heart is the one that needs to make the decisions, and only changing the human heart is going to change the world. So sorry to get all Michael Jackson on you, but yeah. So it's not a cultural or a race war. It's a heart war.
Well, I agree. Again, this is like kind of a tricky, I don't know. I always have trouble like weaving the web of how I see connections between all this shit. But in essence,
you're doing pretty good so far.
I'm trying. I'm really trying. So I see this thing, right, where black men, I'm just gonna say it how I feel it, How about I say it this way? If you're white or Asian, you're not allowed to be masculine. But if you're black or Hispanic, you are. And there's
I
this.
would argue that the opposite is true.
You think?
Actually, yeah. But I think what might actually be a more salient aspect of this to pay attention to is exactly what they are trying to pull off with this piece of media right here with the white man, Bill Maher, and the black man, Ice Cube. They already tried this once with Bruce Springsteen and Barack Obama, and that also failed miserably. So there's that.
Have y'all seen the Andy Samberg Snoop Dogg commercial?
I've heard about it.
Hang on just a second. Nope. So, in essence, what the common trope has become is the white man is the doofus, right? We got Homer Simpson, and then the black man is like the sage, the cool, know everything like sage. And this is like kind of a common trope. I mean, how many strong like male, aside from I would say Breaking Bad, which is kind of sad because he's like an anti-hero, but like ever since I've been a kid, it's like Malcolm in the Middle. Speaking of Breaking Bad, I mean, fucking Walter White was the bumbling, doofus of a dad, kind of the live action Homer Simpson. I mean, do y'all follow me?
Yeah,
here?
It goes back even further than that. You can go back to Al Bundy on Married with Children in the 90s. You can go back to the sitcoms in the 80s and start to see the transformation from the traditional American father who's head of household, lord of his manor and that sort of thing, to just like what you're saying, the bumbling idiot who, thank God, mom allows him to sleep here, or otherwise he'd probably die in the wilderness.
Yeah. Okay, so I didn't play enough of the George Carlin clip, but George Carlin had a whole shtick about, one of the things he hates most is white guys who wear their baseball hats backwards, and how like you'll never be cool like a black guy. That was his whole like punchline. He's like, and it again, like I really loved George Carlin. And maybe it's because he tapped into my own misanthropic tendencies, right? Misery loves company. So when you agree with the 90%, you're willing to take the 10% that's bullshit. Again, this is my theme. This is, people can be mostly based and super bogus. Like, I tend to like Snoop Dogg and Andy Samberg, but they're both, whether they're conscious of it or not, promoting an agenda with this commercial here.
A Corona and palm trees.
A Corona and calm seas.
And a balm breeze.
And some long knees, strong like a tongue squeeze. You'll say, "Oh, geez," when I make your lawn freeze. Was that good?
No.
Oh.
It was incredible.
Oh.
Lee bad.
Oh.
But this is good.
Black man cool, white man dweeb, drink Corona.
I'm sure Corona has probably had a pretty hard knock over the last couple of years.
In fairness,
Just
did
out of
they
name alone.
release rap music in the past with Lonely Island or something, right?
Yeah, actually, Andy Samberg.
That's like a bit of a rapper.
Andy Samberg has rap,
but Snoop
songs.
is the dog father, so of course
Right.
It's like Jamiroquai meets James Brown or something. Like, what do you expect? Like, I don't think it's even race in there in that one.
I never thought of that before. That's the perfect analogy.
At least Samberg's a Jew, so it makes up for it a little bit.
And as far as white men not being cool for wearing their
I think not seeing race is oh god, you can't. I think not focusing on race is the solution that my parents knew. They're 70 years old. They weren't racist. They had the MLK idea. Seemed like a good idea. I don't know what's going on. It's not. I don't know. Everyone's hyper focused on it now. It's crazy.
Well,
So I think like this is something I wanna like clarify in that, like with the WTF forum. I feel like we're trying to get beyond that base argument of races, right? Like I with the jokes we make, sometimes I'm like, let's be careful, right? I don't want to come across as assuming anything about anybody based on religion, race, or otherwise. But everybody comes with a bias culturally, from whatever their education, their upbringing, and I don't know, dude. Like, I'm not trying to be apologetic, but like, again, you know what I mean? I think we're trying to get beyond the base level, like race argument, even though it does play a factor.
Yeah, well, they're trying to make us look at race. So obviously, every time they
Correct.
try to make us look at something, we need to look the opposite way. But the
Yes.
problem with that, I do see in sort of 4C, is we have to also be careful, because when the pendulum swings the other way, that's also an extreme. And is this purposely built so that we're all going, we can't look at race, we have to unite? And then all of a sudden we're trapped in this, we are one everything, which is exactly what they want us to do. And that oneness and that unity sounds so beautiful and so tempting. However, in their oneness that they're forcing on us, it strips the individual. It just becomes one conglomerate one. What we need to do is unite in heart, but also remain as individuals, as each member of a body, like Jesus said, or like is written in the Bible. We are all individual members. With the hand is no good without 5 fingers. The arm is no good without a hand. Each person brings something different to make up a solid unity, not to merge into one, if that makes any sense.
Hey, I got a question for you, Mike. Have you ever seen a movie called Beverly Hills Cop?
It's been a long time, but yeah.
You have seen it? Okay. Yeah. So for folks in the audience who may not have seen this movie before, I'll just kind of set up the story really quick. I won't give away any spoilers, but it's a cop from Detroit, played by Eddie Murphy, who is a black man, goes to Los Angeles and helps the cops there in Beverly Hills, white guys, solve crimes while he's there in Los Angeles. And like basically the whole movie is laid out exactly like what they just showed you in this Corona beer commercial. It's the smart black cop always outwitting the dumb white cops to hilarious results.
Even Men in Black played on that trope. That's a Hollywood trope, really.
The streetwise black
in
man,
fact,
and yeah,
yep, it's been around a while.
Yeah, like, again, I'm not trying to, like, not to say that I ascribe to these stereotypes. I'm saying that these are tropes that get reinforced in our media, right?
Well,
and that like it's. I think it's kind of a psyop to strip. I hate to say it this way, but like strip the majority, the white male like majority of their confidence. To paint the suburban white dad with the Reebok sneakers and the tucked in shirt and the tube socks as like less than man. Like not a masculine man. Even though, like, generally speaking, suburban dads do a pretty good job, like, sustaining their families and paying the bills and getting shit done. And I don't know, man. Like, it seems to me like one more attack on like the nuclear family. It's like for the black population, they utilize the war on drugs. For the white population, it's sort of more of this psychological thing where they're just trying to strip men of their confidence and their manness.
Yeah, and what they're presenting is a whole bunch of men who want to turn into women, and a bunch of wimps who just have, their balls have receded naturally just through their attitude. Well, the way they've been indoctrinated. So But, you know, I'm seeing in front of me right now, there's 4 masculine men. There's more masculine men in the WTF group. I know many masculine
That's a
men.
horrible thing to say about Rose.
Ron Paul's back there.
Hey.
I said
Welcome.
4.
Yeah,
Welcome
I
to
don't
the
know about that.
forum, Rose.
I'm drinking a Bud Light.
So all I'm saying is that we haven't lost the masculine men. They're just making us think that we have, because they want our psyche to, well, but even women, I suppose, that
Correct.
sort
They
of
want us to
traditionally
believe.
looked. Yeah, exactly. They traditionally we would look to men to, you know, traditionally women would look to men to be our protectors while we gather the berries. You know what I mean? So that's what they're trying to strip away.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
I
pure
shared-
psychological warfare.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I shared a video with the Telegram for the forum hosts last night, where I went and I saw, you know, I went to this racetrack, right? And I saw these little kids racing, and it was boys and girls. I mean, this is not strictly a male sport, but these are like 8 to 10-year-olds racing around like a legitimate racetrack in little itty bitty race cars. And I shared it with the forum because I'm like, this gives me hope in the future. Like, these are kids that are being raised to have confidence, right? And I'm not going to go on all night. We got to introduce Rose, Pinochet Rose.
What?
Yeah, what up? Welcome.
I'll get the hat for you.
Yeah. Now we met Rose at Childeberg, right, Ando?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey-o, look at you.
Like a boss from Street Fighter 3 or something.
That's because I am a boss from Street Fighter 3.
Yeah.
My special move is called the Goy Slap Destroyer.
Man, we just get that out of here.
I told Andy that I was going to sign on as soon as I came from the Barbie movie.
Oh,
So
shit.
I was repping my best bimbo
Speaking of
nationalism.
emasculation, right? Speaking of emasculation.
I pick berries.
I mean, do I have the right influence or the right idea here? How was the movie?
Okay. So, did anyone see it?
Nah.
No. Good. I went not because I wanted to see it. It was kind of an inside joke with a friend of mine. He got super high, as he does on all movies. I'm not going to even preface this with, oh my God, I don't want to give you spoilers. It's not the type of movie where you're like, oh, I'm so shocked. So the visuals were very nice, right? Like, it's sparkly, it's pink if you're into that type of thing, right? Margot Robbie is beautiful, obviously. Ryan Gosling, not so much. But the whole point of the movie, right? It's so ridiculous. Like, I'm not even gonna go into like the little subtle lines of like Jewish perversion, but it's a movie where one sex, the Barbie sex, is subservient. Sorry, the Kens are subservient to the Barbies. And then one member, who is Ken, attempts to change that. And the change is terrible. And then the happy ending comes when everything comes back to the status quo and everyone's okay. So the Barbies are once again in charge of the Barbie world. And it's, you know, they keep saying, oh my God, the patriarchy. And Ryan Gosling is obviously just a caricature, not just as Ken, but of all men. So he comes into the real world because there's some sort of portal that goes from Barbie land to Ken land. And he realizes, because they've never heard of patriarchy in Barbie land, he says, I can do any job because I'm a man. So everyone in the real world denies him. They're like, you need an MBA, you need this, you need that. Yeah, it's called merit. It's called fucking merit. And this is what every single person on, you know, well, I don't know every single person here, but most people that I and Andy associate and affiliate with, that's all we preach, merit. So no, you can't just do something because you're a man or a woman. You have to work hard for it. Now, the subtext of it is very funny. Like, it's very, very woke. And there's a point where Barbie talks to, what's his name, Will Ferrell's character, and she's like, yeah, this is great. you know, where are all the women CEOs? And the entire boardroom is all men. And he's like, get into the box, Barbie. And she goes, no, you know, like, she's like, I will, but I need to fix my hair. And so when he's trying to reassure her to go into the box so he can like fix everything, he goes, I have friends who are women, right? Obviously, like parroting those tropes, like, I'm not racist, I'm not a sexist. But then he says, I have Jewish friends. I was like, there it is. There it is. It was so cringe. And then
that was in the movie, you're
that was in
saying?
the
Like
movie.
verbatim?
Verbatim.
So it's just baked with like identity shit.
Yes. And then there's another part of the movie where Barbie, so she speaks to weird Barbie. And she's like, well, the continuum is due to the fact that you're the girl who plays with you as a doll. In the real world, something is happening and she's disassociating. You just have to set her straight. She goes to the real world and she thinks it's a 16-year-old girl. It happens to be her mother, though. So she's like, hi, I'm real Barbie. Like, you love me. And the girl's like, the patriarchy. You built up the patriarchy, and just like all this ridiculous nonsense. And I'd just like to define that the word patriarchy is not, you know, an excuse of affirmative action for men. No. The patriarchy was a term that was used for men who lead a family, which also means that it's men and women who are responsible leaders within their, you know, microcosm. But none of that matters. Facts don't matter. All we know is that as women, we are constantly oppressed. And I'm not saying women have it easy, right? There's a lot of problems that society faces, that we all face. But goddamn, do you have to hit it so on the nose? So typical boy slop movie. Would not recommend unless you sneak in for free.
Speaking of patriarchy and all that, I saw yesterday the kanji for wife is the kanji for woman plus the kanji for house, side by side. And the kanji for husband is the kanji for man plus field, side by side.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, they need to be canceled.
Maybe we should get our reparation, Mike.
Yeah. So we're working our way there, little by little. So there's this weird thing, right, where Jamie Foxx just like supposedly came back into the world from God knows where.
The more important movie of the week, the most important movie of the week.
Yes.
The most important movie of this month.
I've been waiting all day for this.
Tyrone got cloned, right? So the video, dude, I mean, the video of him on Instagram, I watched it like 12 times. It's so weird. I found this YouTube kind of breakdown. And I'm not saying like it's perfect, but it's worth maybe listening to and commenting on. Let's see here. I think this is the one.
Ice Cube, the renowned rapper and actor, has recently made some bold statements that have ignited intense controversy and raised crucial questions about the rap industry's influence. According to Ice Cube, not only do Hollywood elites dictate the shots in the music industry, but they also have undisclosed involvement in the private prison system.
Okay, I'm gonna say real quick. Yeah, so there's this weird like connection. Ice Cube is being painted as the guy that refused the shot. Jamie Foxx is being painted as the guy who maybe got the shot and had a bad reaction. I don't know how to quite explain the overlap of their stories, but there's something going on here that I'll try to get to the connections if I can. It's weird.
A truly shady double life.
Same people who own the labels own the prisons.
But that's not all. Ice Cube is causing quite a stir by revealing that record labels and committees manipulate and dictate what rappers say in their songs. It's as if they're playing the role of puppet masters, orchestrating a grand scheme to promote criminal activities through catchy tunes.
Record company guys sit around and tell the
Hollywood does the exact same thing.
This is hot. Say that. Do this. We're going to have this guy write the lyrics. We're gonna have that.
Meanwhile, as Ice Cube fearlessly exposes the dark secrets of the music industry and its connection to the elusive Hollywood elites, it seems that some other big names in the industry are feeling the heat too. Whispers in the grapevine suggest that these celebrities, who are also battling against the powers that be, are genuinely worried about Ice Cube's safety. But what exactly did they say? Buckle up, because we're about to spill the tea on this story. It seems like these fellow fighters are rallying around Ice Cube, expressing their genuine concerns for his well being. They believe that his bold statements have made him a target for potential danger. First up is the legendary Dave Chappelle, known for his fearless commentary and sharp wit. There is a famous clip of comedian Dave Chappelle explaining that celebrities aren't crazy as they're always labeled, but that rather, Hollywood is sick. The actor and comedian spoke with James Lipton for Inside the Actors Studio in 2006, and during the interview, Chappelle shared insights on the dismissive and sick culture within Hollywood, which allowed for many celebrities to be dismissed as being crazy. He also spoke of how destructive Hollywood culture could be, and how once one diverted their attention from it, something bad usually happened. They would lose their fortune and fame, and sometimes even their lives, like all the musicians and entertainers who were allegedly unalive for trying to write tell-all books.
Is when you don't want to be a part of their fucking club. That pisses them off.
What's more, Chappelle has also had his fair share of dealings with the Hollywood elites. In fact, he has been an ardent critic of how these Hollywood elites treat black comedians. He boldly claimed that Kevin Hart, a comedic powerhouse, reached the pinnacle of success only after compromising his principles and engaging in acts he swore he'd never do. In a recently resurfaced interview, Chappelle revealed that the industry once tried to make him wear a dress. Curious if his fellow comedian had faced similar pressures, Chappelle questioned Hart about his boundaries. Initially, Hart denied experiencing such situations. However, a year later, he shocked the world by donning a dress on Saturday Night Live, contradicting his previous statements. Fans and critics accused him of selling out for fame, igniting debates about the compromises demanded by Hollywood. But Chappelle's experiences go far beyond dresses. He has fearlessly exposed the manipulative tactics of industry higher-ups, who sought to control his name and likeness perpetually through contracts. Chappelle has been a leading voice in addressing the conspiracy theory that black male entertainers are coerced into wearing dresses on screen before achieving fame. Many successful black comedians and actors have stepped forward to share their experience.
How's it a conspiracy theory if he's telling you about it? The black male actor just told you they're trying to put me in a dress.
So this is, to me, just an interesting thing. Like, they're trying to get black celebrities to wear dresses on TV. Like,
humiliation rituals.
The drug war only did so much damage, so now we're gonna demasculinize, even though, like,
yeah, it's a dominance thing. It's about the people who control the industry showing everybody, literally everybody that works in it, that you only get as far as we allow you to get. And go ahead and challenge us on that if you want to. See what happens.
And for every 12 of those guys who gets killed, there's one that they can use. And then he'll, going forth, set the spectrum.
And that's all they need is the one.
Of the response we're permitted to have to what they're doing. Right?
And it's
that's
not just,
that's your overlap right there between Ice Cube and Jamie Foxx, is they are both prominent cultural icons. They are both people that the quote unquote black community were told, allegedly, put on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm. False idols. That's what I said at the beginning. That's kind of the theme running through. It's kind of like, I don't give a fuck, Ice Cube, like Dave Chappelle, like, as much as I want to believe or enjoy like these entertainers,
I'll take it.
They're all at least half fucking bogus, dude. I don't know. I don't really
you're right.
Yeah.
Like your Jimmy Dore or your Russell Brand, like Russell Brand's spitting out globalist shit on the side with his truther shit. Jimmy Dore wants to take your guns, and he wanted you to get the fucking jab for a while.
I don't know if any of you have seen Russell Brand being all chummy with Yuval Noah Harari, but they love each other.
I immortalized it as album art for an episode of Liberty Radio.
That's right.
Yeah, well, I saw Dave Chappelle live. This is one. It's one of the very few things I've seen. I'm pretty, 90% hermit, but I thought, nah, I've got to get out more. So I attempted to get out more. Somebody else gave me a free ticket and free overnight in a motel and everything. So okay, can't really argue. So I went up and I saw Dave Chappelle, and I just like everyone was telling me, this guy is so funny. You're gonna love him. I was absolutely freaking disgusted. That guy is just, oh man. Toilet mouth. Like I'm not a prude, but toilet mouth, toilet attitude towards. I know it was sort of in the name of comedy, but the person that I was with, who was also like even way more like full on Christian, like ridiculously, and she had a 15-year-old daughter with us. There was a very young child probably a 10-year-old girl in the front second row that Dave actually, like, how they center out people in the audience so that they can keep going back to them and sort of spin jokes and what have you and keep a theme going. I picked out this really young girl, and my God, like I don't even want to say the things that he was talking about. It was filth, absolutely disgusting. And they said that it is highly advised not to bring minors to that concert. It should have been absolutely not allowed. It should have been restricted at least. We go 18 years. You guys go 21 years more so for adult. But there's no way that child should have been in there. And then he'd made it worse by like putting the spotlight on her and really involving her and her father. It was an absolute disgrace. And I'm sorry, everyone who loves Dave Chappelle, but that was my spirit just going, this guy stinks to high heaven. That's my take on him.
Stella, what were some of the jokes that he isolated? Because you said isolated. I'm going to assume he didn't heckle a 10-year-old. I'm just curious. Obviously not verbatim, but what were some of the jokes that he performed, or I guess he isolated for this 10-year-old?
I couldn't even tell you verbatim at the moment because, like, there is a point where I do pray to forget a lot of that stuff. But
not verbatim, just topics, anything that you can remember.
Just really like sexually disgusting stuff, bodily sort of, like pissing on people. Basically did mock handicapped people. I mean, like I can kind of snigger to a few of those things. I'm not completely square here, but there's a threshold, where it just becomes that was unnecessary. There was a whole lot of people not laughing. It wasn't just me and my friend. There was sadly a lot of people did laugh, but probably because they just caught up in it. But I could see there was quite a few people around who just were going, "Oh, that's a bit full on." Maybe it was just the Australians versus American humor. I don't know. But
I will say this though, I don't know why anyone would bring their teenage child or 10-year-old to a comedy. Right? It's it's not a place for children. This is not a family-friendly comedian. There are some. They don't swear. They make sure that they keep their humor clean.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle, very notoriously, is not one of those people. So that's a judgment call and a bad one on the parents.
Oh, I totally agree. I don't know. I felt like going up and punching that father, but there was a number of young children in the audience too. So it wasn't, obviously, yes, a bad call. And maybe Australians don't really know the depth of Dave Chappelle. Maybe they didn't check him out well enough. I don't know. They only know what they see on Netflix. I don't watch Netflix. I'd never even hardly heard of the guy. Didn't know anything about him. Had never seen him before.
Okay.
So I just cruised along to see what it was all about and why everyone was going, oh, he's so good.
Dave Chappelle had a comedy skit. I think I was about 16 years old around that time on Comedy Central. And it was like the Race Olympics. That was hysterical. That was like Dave Chappelle at its prime. But the Netflix comedy specials, like I don't have Netflix, but I saw it with a friend. I thought they were very weak, especially in comparison to his other stuff. He's good with like Key and Peele, right? Comedy skit type of things. It should not be a 2-3 hour special, but most people can't cut it.
The best thing he ever did was Clayton Dixon, the black white supremacist.
Yes,
Clayton Bigsby.
Clayton Bigsby, thank you.
Bigsby,
and
yes.
Yeah, a blind black man who doesn't know that he's black because his adopted parents didn't have the heart to tell him, and he becomes a fucking KKK guy. It's like that's pretty funny, man. It's pretty funny. But again, okay, so like
it illustrates that it's a heart. It's in your heart. What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I wanted to like him because I could see I could see in between the bits where he wasn't being crude or anything. I did laugh. I thought I quite liked his delivery and what have you, and I wanted to like him, but there was just too much verbal vomit spewing out that sewer mouth for me.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that alliteration. Verbal
Again,
vomit.
people
I've seen him go really, really dirty on like cell phone recordings in clubs, but I can't imagine he would do it in front of a 10-year-old. That's like got to be for shock or something. That's
Well,
crazy.
Highly inappropriate.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that people lift up as like an idol. You know,
I don't know what the parents were thinking.
Yeah.
Oh,
But-
and not only that, sorry, just let me put in this very last bit. I didn't know how much the tickets were because I didn't buy them, but then my friend told me a bit later. I was like, are you serious? What? Like, what? It was a couple of $100.
Yeah.
And he went for 65 minutes. I've never been to a concert or anything that's only gone for a little bit over an hour. That was such a rip-off. It might have been an hour 10, maybe, I don't know, but it was around that time, and it was like, okay, everyone, good night. We just looked at each other and went, are you serious? That's all he's giving us? Well, I mean, I was quite happy about it personally, but on a value sense, I just
No
thought that was
opener?
total. No opener, no support, no closer, no nothing. It was just, oh, well, good night, see ya. Okay. Piss
Sad.
off.
Sad. Once upon a time, we had entertainers who cared, and they were there to entertain. Now everything's political. I'm very tired of everything being politicized.
Yeah.
But since we're on the forms of entertainment, it's very funny. Just one comment about the movie. So Barbie's supposed to be this, gorgeous doll that obviously, hyperbolizes standards, right? You don't want to play with an ugly doll. Like, you want to aspire to be better, right? We all do. We all should. And the whole movie preaches like this equality standard, because what the left always does, and Uncle Ted speaks about this in the manifesto, is they're so scared of beauty that they want to just take everything and make it ugly. So there's like a tranny Barbie, Lord help us all. There's like a handicapped Barbie, a fat Barbie, a this and a that Barbie. And it's like, no, you cannot compare these iconic dolls to the atrocities that are being played by them. And so when you kind of look at Hollywood and what they've always tried to put, right, like the voice of the regressives is always the nice guy, the pretty Barbie, right? Like Margot Robbie's like, oh, wow, I think I get it. And we're just going to play nice and everything. But the truth is in the mouths of the villains, right? Any single story you can think of, like when we were growing up, the villain spoke a lot of truth. I mean, let's talk about The Lion King. I hate that movie, but Scar was based as fuck. Like, he was so right. Everything is a power process, and it's so on the nose sometimes, and they know that they're doing it. And like, when you grow up and you kind of have a better semblance of the world, you're like, I think I'm gonna agree with the villain. You come to understand, like, the beliefs that the villains hold, why they hold them, the point of sociopolitics, the industries that they're in, and you're like, wow, this is how real life works. And it's very much part of like what the Jews do, like the bits of subversion where they're like, okay, we're going to give you like a little kernel of truth and you're going to have to work for it. But the entire movie is there to kind of be like this MK Ultra psyop of, this is bad, this is bad, this is the truth, but the truth is bad. Very funny, because your retelling of what's his name, Dave Chappelle, mirrors that. Like, I thought he was funny, and he has a lot of great points to make, but your humor has certainly gone, the wayside when you've started to comply to all the goy slop agenda.
Yep. And what you said about they're trying to eradicate beauty, I definitely agree with that. But I would add they're trying to eradicate natural beauty. So God's work.
Yes.
Because they are trying to replace it with botulism in people's everywhere. Silicon,
Yes.
dyes, whatever it takes, implants, whatever it takes. They're trying to
Doesn't
distort
matter as
the
long as
natural
it is
view.
synthetic.
Exactly.
It has to be synthetic. It has to be man-made.
I mean, we're already
Cannot be
half
natural.
transhuman, aren't we? Like, because we've already, taken so much of our naturalness away. Yeah.
Where are all the feminists talking about how Barbie is a unattainable level of beauty?
That
you
was
know, like,
that was the talking point in the movie. Don't
was it?
worry.
Of
Yes,
course,
it was.
of course.
I mean,
How did they here's a question. How did they resolve it? Or did they resolve it?
So when Barbie goes to the real world to find the girl, because she's like, oh my goodness, I got cellulite, right? That's how you know that there's like a space-time continuum rip. So she goes to the girl and she's like, I think, you play with me and I'm Barbie. And the girl's like, you are the problem for the patriarchy. You caused all these issues. And I'm like, there is a group of people that is responsible for everything, but it's certainly not women, and it's certainly not beautiful women, and it's certainly not for these reasons, right? Like, there is no resolve. The only resolve is egalitarianism, that we all have to love who we are and accept ourselves for ourselves. Disgusting.
Amen.
Yeah. All right. So, like, I find that there's this kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm just off base, but I feel like there's a theme or what I see being done to black celebrities, right? Like, I think is an MK Ultra kind of psyop.
Yeah.
They've already emasculated the white men, and they have to be a little bit different in their approach with the black men. And I don't know how much you guys know or what you think about like P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, and like how he's apparently
he's
Groomed,
instrumental
East Coast mob boss.
How he's groomed like younger, he apparently groomed Usher,
Yeah.
and he apparently groomed Justin Bieber. And I mean, it's almost like too on the nose, right? His name that he chooses to go by is Puff Daddy. I mean, come on, right? Or P. Diddy. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, Diddy.
There we go.
Like, we got a Diddy, we got a diddler over here, right?
Didding the children.
And there's just these weird connections. It's like the Ice Cube, Jamie Foxx, Puff Daddy. There's this weird like overlap, and I don't know what to make of it. But here's, I found this to be halfway interesting.
During this interview, they addressed the parties and celebrations that they had at the so-called Flavor Camp.
To learn Camp. Yeah, it's called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy.
During this interview, Usher didn't really get into details about what he saw, but only said that he got to know the lifestyle, but did not know if he would participate and indulge since it was pretty wild. With the beans already spilled, a lot of people have talked about it, and one of the rappers who has something to say about this whole situation is Ice Cube. But for Ice Cube, he has decided to spill the beans, not only on Diddy, but also on the dark side of the music industry. In a podcast that he posted on social media a few months ago, Cube claimed that Jamie Foxx was attacked by the elites behind the scenes.
And what I realized with the club is what makes them so mad.
These claims have worried everyone as nobody knows where Jamie Foxx is. It seems he has disappeared from the world, but there have been reports that he is doing well. During this podcast, Ice Cube claimed that he is not part of the Inside Club with many stars on their call. Moreover, Cube claimed that all his fans are not part of the club. It is said that all the celebrities who are also part of the industry elite also pass the club's agenda down to their audiences. Because of this, these audiences become part of the club indirectly. But what's the main issue with this club? All the influential Ice Cube states this elite club wants, and other large figures like Cube refuse to bend to their will, The club supposedly gets angry. This secret society is said to have a lot of influence on its members' lives, and it goes without saying that Jamie Foxx is one of them. The word on the street is that Jamie has been on the club's hit list for quite some time. With this, it seems that the secret society is only loyal to itself. Ice Cube claims that each celebrity has to go head-to-head with this family at least once in their career. However, people don't understand that these so-called gatekeepers are responsible for more than keeping the club a secret from the entire world. So, now that you know this, I'm sure you can agree that Jamie's being in the hospital can somehow be related to the Hollywood elite. This hospitalization came some weeks after the production of Back in Action, which Jamie was shooting with Cameron Diaz, began. However, it is said that Fox allegedly had a breakdown on set at some point in the production. According to The Sun, production of Fox and Diaz's movie, which is her first film in 9 years, had been stopped because of a meltdown that Fox had on set. Also, people claimed that this meltdown was so bad that 4 people were fired. An insider claimed there have been some issues on set, and Jamie has had a major meltdown over it all. He demanded the problems be sorted immediately and sacked 4 of the production staff as if that would magically improve the situation. According to this source, some of the people who are working on the film are totally fed up with how this has played out, and Jamie has become pretty unpopular. Because of all the stress that Jamie is going through, he quickly fell ill. And when the family and team were asked, nobody would explain what happened.
Bullshit.
We know what happened.
That's about enough of that. But thoughts?
I don't know if you caught that, but on the closed captions there, did you notice where it said "totally fed up"? There was "totally fed" in inverted commas. The whole crew was totally fed. But I think that was an AI voiceover. Personally, a very good one.
I think it was an AI video too.
Yeah.
There was some weird choppiness to the voice. It was not natural. Again, I'm not trying to be People Magazine here. I'm bringing this to our attention to try to like make sense of just the charade, like the show that's going on, right? Like why do I care what the fuck happens to Jamie Foxx? I shouldn't care. Why do I care what Ice Cube has to say? I shouldn't, but I still sort of do because I've been programmed to. And it's the ones that I tend to agree with that I'm starting to realize might be the most dangerous, right?
Right.
Can I point out one thing?
Yeah.
That's why Obama was dangerous.
Can I just
He's
point out
charismatic. People want to get behind
thing
him.
before anybody says anything else about this? And actually, what I'll do is I'll pose this as a question to the other 5 that are joining me this evening. Does anyone on this forum not consider Jamie Foxx to be one of the greatest actors of his generation?
I have love
is
for
that
Ice
something
Cube
we can all
and
agree
Jamie
on?
Foxx. And Jamie Foxx in Living Color when I was growing up on the TV, along with Tommy Davidson. Wonderful lads.
Ray.
Wayans.
I mean, I love Django Unchained. I love Ray. He's a talented guy. Did you all see?
They put him in a dress.
Yeah,
they made him play Wanda every night.
Actor.
I hear what you're saying, Drizzle.
So let's talk about the Black celebrities in dresses, right? For the emasculation purposes. In Hollywood in the 50s, I believe, right? When they had Asians on the silver screen, they were often portrayed as like really buff. They were great surfers, right? Because that was, like the whole, I guess, wave of Polynesian culture, right? Like surfing and tiki drinks and all that. And Hollywood's like, no, this has to go, right? Because people were starting to like follow martial arts, right? Then we had Bruce Lee later on. Hollywood did the same thing to Asian Americans, which I know is so hard because we have like this awful, I guess, vision of them. But Hollywood did exactly the same thing. They emasculated them. They took away any pride that they had. They took away any culture they had, and they just made them like the loser cuck friend.
I made a comment to this nature, I think, before you jumped on, Rose, where I just my feeling on the matter is that you're not allowed to act masculine unless you're black, brown, whatever. The exclusion is Asian men and white men have been like basically labeled as either nerds or dweebs.
Yep.
In media.
You're absolutely correct, Mike, except that it is dependent upon the role that you are portraying in the media. If you are portraying the traditional masculine role of the father that provides for his family and protects his spouse and his children, and all of those sorts of things, the cornerstone of the family, that traditional image of a man, if that's what you're trying to portray in the media, then you're absolutely right. You're going to be torn down regardless of what the color of your skin is. But if you are promoting cutting corners, doing things on the sly, getting over on people for your own personal benefit, they're going to shove that shit down your throat all day long.
Yep.
They love sociopaths.
Yep.
Can I just point out that for a while now, I've just been taking mental note of suspects that I am suspicious of, marrying them up with names. So I think there's a lot in a name, obviously.
Mhm.
I look at things like Usher. What are you ushering in? Mr. Ice Cube. We all know what the cube stuff is, right? Well, I hope we're aware of
It's
it.
in Mecca.
Can you
Right.
explain?
Well, that comes down to like Saturn worship. That's a whole other episode, I suppose. Really, Drizzle can see that.
I feel like we touched on it with our Center of the World episode.
Yeah, the cube is very. I'd love to do an episode on that. I'm not an expert.
You can
but
do
I
hours
just
on that
look up.
subject by itself.
Exactly, yeah. So just getting back. So Jamie Foxx. What does a fox do? Just creates, let it go in the hen house. It creates death,
Did John
destruction,
Mary Chase?
basically.
Yeah.
P. Diddy, we talked about that one. There's another thing I've noticed is about some of the controlled opposition that I suspect, which are probably about 90% of the truthers, bar us. Two first names, often two first names. So it'd be like Scott David or David Scott or something like that. I'm just trying to pick someone that I don't know. You know what I mean? So two first names, as in their name, or three names, often three names. They're just little things that are subtle things that make me prick up my ears and take a little bit more notice, because there is a lot in a name. If you start looking into names and origins of names and what they can mean, and even to your life destiny, some people say, they are extremely important, and they're sort of part of the code, I think, in my opinion.
That makes sense, considering everything is, you can boil down to gematria, which is literally a spelling cipher, right? Every single letter corresponds to a number. The numbers get added, right? And you can play around with things. And so when you say words have meanings and intentions, that's literally what spell work is.
Yeah.
And again, it's a Jewish, I'm so sorry. It's not my only personality trait. I know it seems like it, I assure you guys. But
this is because they had the knowledge of the Egyptians from their days in captivity, right?
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, and gematria itself is being very polluted. Like there is code. There is code throughout the Bible. So there's authentic code, and then there's the code that is being. I'm not saying that numerology and gematria is complete rubbish or anything. It's certainly
Right.
very, very interesting, but that in itself is also being infiltrated and
you have the charlatans. You have the
blurred. Yeah.
charlatans that completely digress the point
Yeah,
and
exactly.
make a mockery of it. Right. Same thing with astrology. I mean, when you think of astrology, you're like, oh my God, all these NFT astrology queens, and it's just like, oh my God, I can't date you. You're a Cancer and I'm a Leo. It's never gonna work. Right. That's not how it worked. It was associated with like agrarian cycles. It was very much part of the ritualistic values that people used to have. And, we have to have that beaten out of us. Things that matter are shamed. Things that are good are taken off the spotlight, and the bad comes to the surface because
that is what the purpose a lot of the new age is to blur, take what is sort of good, make it sound similar.
Yes.
But then there's these other little, curveballs that come off that can be very distracting and take people right away from where their eyes really should be.
that's the whole point, right? Like people lost the ability to nuance. And I know that Andy and I had this conversation. So we're close enough in age, and I'd love your guys' opinions. And we, I said, Andy, when you were growing up, right? Elementary school, junior high school, even college, was everyone like, did you feel the NPC-ness from everyone? Now, don't get me wrong. I was always on the outskirts. I always was skeptical. I was always red-pilled, right? Never quite fit in. But the amount of NPC-dom, right? Like the reiteration of talking points, it was not so bad when we were growing up. It's abysmal nowadays. And this is the reason, right? It's all programming.
I noticed it growing up, but I've also come to realize that I'm probably an outlier. So take that for what it's worth.
Give me an
Well, my group of friends that saw the truth of things seemed very large then, and now it's dwindled to like nobody.
No, my group
that's how I
in high
feel.
school was very, very small. And most people were completely oblivious to the way the world actually worked then too. And
Correct.
I did not, again, in school, I did not affiliate with any groups either. I was like, I didn't belong to the jocks. I didn't belong to the geeks. I didn't belong to any group.
Sure.
Yeah.
But people were less NPC-ish. You could have more conversation.
No, I hated them for it. I hated them for it. I actually hated them for it more then than I do now.
You saw like the group the group mind.
Yes. I saw the herd. I saw the herd mentality.
Yeah. You've always seen the herd, but the herd nowadays is easier manipulated. I can't have conversations with people nowadays. Like I'll sit down, they'll say 3 things. I'm like, I'm out and I'll leave.
No,
right?
I think you just see it more now than you did back then.
Absolutely not.
Because I don't see a difference between then and now.
I was thinking about that. I was talking to my dad and he was repeating CNN talking points. Well, he was doing the same thing 30 years ago. So like,
it's not even about repeating CNN talking points. And also like, let's keep it to our peers, right? Because our family and our, elders, maybe it's at that point, it got to them, maybe because they've survived other things. But in high school, right? And in junior high school, I felt that people were more conscientious of where they were, right? Like I remember, so I'm a New Yorker, right? It's always been very, very crowded anywhere you went, whether it was the supermarket, whether it was the park, right? I could walk from point A to point B without someone bumping into me, right? And I'm very conscientious of where I go. If I need to stop, right, I'll go to the side. And over the years, as we've gotten older, people just are like moving like robots, like AI. They will stop in the middle of a street without being conscientious and aware of where they are. It's not even, they're repeating talking points. No, I'm talking about something, a greater programming. Sure, people were always NPCs. This is Pareto, this is 80-20, but this is something a lot more sinister.
I don't know. I've had people run me over with their shopping carts in supermarkets for 30 years. So
where'd you go?
I agree.
Right outside of Washington, D.C.
Oh.
I agree,
With
Rose.
the cell phone,
Everyone
it's
seems
much worse.
Sorry,
the amount of people zombieing around through the place because they're not looking.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, it's like this oblivion that has clouded people. People are fucking oblivious at the moment to who's around them. It's like you've just stopped in the middle of the freaking supermarket aisle to have a chat to your other fat friend. I can't get around you. Can you just pull over a little bit because there are other people in this planet? Thank you.
Yes.
Industrial society and its future. I mean,
this guy took the whole meat section up, and he was looking for like 10 minutes at and picking up and looking at each piece, and he had his cart in front of it, and like
oblivious.
I tend to agree with Rose, where I think it's gotten worse, and I think the cell phone and social media is part of it. I think Uncle Ted was kind of on the right track in his writing.
Yeah, totally.
We've become, in some ways, dehumanized, right? So this is something I'm very wary of like, I do not want us to dehumanize anybody, including these false idol celebrities, right? Because I see that they might be a certain percentage bogus, but they're still people, and some of them are at least trying. They're at least trying. They might still be misled. They might still push like a false narrative. So last night at the race, I mentioned it earlier, gave me hope to see little kids running around the track, full bore, fucking one of them flipped over. It was awesome. But I was there with a group of friends. One of them is a black man, and there were plenty of opportunities, and we took them to make jokes about like, hopefully you're not the only black man at the race tonight, because typically speaking, it's a white cultural kind of sport. But sure as shit, maybe 5% of folks or 3% of folks there are black. He's not the only one. He is certainly outnumbered, though. And I don't even know how it got started, but we get into the conversation about reparations. And he is all about reparations. And he's a buddy of mine. He's just a normal dude. He's not as based as I would like, but he's a good guy. He's a decent guy. And I'm kind of like making some arguments. I'm like, really? First of all, can you prove that your ancestors were slaves? If not, like, what claim do you have? Also, like, who are you going to take the money from? Like, I'm just making these practical arguments.
Mhm.
And it's like, I don't want to denigrate him or dehumanize him by calling him an NPC, because he's an intelligent guy. He's just misled on certain ideas, right? And I almost want to give that courtesy to some of these celebrities. I almost think like my point in bringing up like the Jamie Foxx Ice Cube thing is like, I almost see Jamie Foxx as a full-blown, agent of the deep state or the New World Order, versus Ice Cube. I want to almost throw him, the bone of like the benefit of the doubt. Like, I think he's trying to get to the heart of it. He still believes in reparations. He's still a statist, even though he wrote the song "Fuck the Police." He can't get over that hurdle. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, of course.
So, I don't want to be dehumanizing ever, but there is a certain point that people cross a threshold into the point of no return. And I think they kind of are an NPC. I just don't want to necessarily admit it,
Yeah, but like as warriors, we have to recognize the enemy, and I mean the most courteous thing you can do to recognize their humanity is to pray for them. That's all. That's the most powerful thing you can possibly do, and make the odd comment like you just did to remind us that they are human. But they are also, in a sense, they are the enemy if they have made a decision to put, fame and fortune, what have you, whatever it is, make some sort of contract, blah, 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 whatever that it may be, they are there doing that job. And that is anti what we as Christians believe, or we as even just, not Christians, but just people who are awake and aware of where we should be heading. They are the opposite of that. So in a sense, I hate to say if you're not with us, you're against us, but in a way it sort of is like that.
It
And
is.
I think the Agent Smith analogy or metaphor is very, very interesting, in that like if your mind is not free, you will be weaponized against those whose minds are free, right?
Yeah.
It's like by no fault of their own, they can be turned into Agent Smith only because they have not been enlightened, so to speak. But I it's not like the Matrix has it all figured out. Like, it's not that simple. So again, I think some people are genuinely in the Matrix, like Agent Smith gonna come out one day if necessary, but there's a whole lot of people that are just edging. They got like one foot on either side of the line,
So I think
So
this
you
is
think
like,
you have faith in him. That's what you're saying. So that's why you're not dehumanizing him.
Well, that's the thing. I've grown very wary of having faith in any man, right?
Yeah. Yep.
In any man, but I still want to reserve judgment, and if Ice Cube hasn't sold his soul to the devil, that's the thing. I'm like in my gut, I feel like Jamie Foxx sold his soul to the devil and Ice Cube hasn't, even though he's not quite onto it fully.
So,
but how do you know?
All right. So exactly. Let's create.
I don't know.
No, you do.
Yeah.
Stop it, Mike. You do. Because if you're saying this, every time we assert a claim, we've frameworked something in order to create a certain distinction, right? You're like, I don't want to call people NPCs because of XYZ reason. We'll get into that.
We were making the joke at Childerberg that like the one group that wasn't with us were NPCs. And
yes.
I was making the joke.
Yes,
you know, and
were.
like, and they maybe they were, maybe they weren't.
No,
but
I know them. They are.
You met them, yeah. I never talked to him. So it was easy to assume, and it's like that's a dangerous game to play, the us and them game,
But you have to, because like Stella said, it's for survival. So let's go back to Jamie Foxx and Ice Cube. Why do you think Jamie has created the Faustian Pact? And why do you think Ice Cube is still holding out?
Explain what's the Faustian Pact.
Pretty much sold his soul to the devil.
Deal with the devil. Okay. I can't put my finger on it exactly. It's more just like a look in their eyes, and I guess I'll answer your question with this.
Cube's always been a wise and pretty based dude. I think he's always been like a solid dude. I've been a fan of Ice Cube since the 90s.
All right, so here's
Hollywood or whatever.
Here's Jamie Foxx. I mean, you just tell me, and also like. It's weird. Like he does not look good. Like I think Ando said also we lost Ando. Apparently his phone, fritzed out or something. But Ando was saying, Ando in the chat was saying that like, yeah, he looks 3 shades too light. Also, you'll notice his goatee is fucked up and his hairline's different. And like, he just doesn't look good or even necessarily like the same guy.
Is that an AI picture? Maybe I don't know. We can't tell now what's real and what's not.
It's not a photo. It's a video. You'll see the video.
They did this thing to Joe Rogan where they made him all gray. Maybe that's what this is, like a filter.
You can morph photographs, as well.
100%.
The
that's
mystery
what I do for a living.
I'm convinced the mystery around Jamie Foxx is a psyop. I just don't know what type of psyop. But here, just watch this.
Now, today, Jamie Foxx, just yesterday, has finally come out of this hiatus, and he has finally said something. Coincidentally, on the same day as the release of the movie, They Clone Tyrone. As you can see, there is a clear difference in what Jamie Foxx looked like, right? Dog got a cone head now. They done peeled his ears back. They gave him the Joe Biden treatment for real. So even the eyebrows is different. The eyes is bigger. So without further ado, we gonna tap in and we gonna hear what Tyrone got to say.
First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody that's prayed, man, and sent me messages. I cannot even begin to tell you how far it took me and how it brought me back. I went through something that I thought I would never ever go through.
And what might that something be?
Cancer.
Inquiring minds would like to know.
Look like
I
cancer.
know a lot of people were waiting, or wanting to hear updates, but to be honest with you, I just didn't want you to see me like that, man. I want you to see me laughing, having a good time, partying, cracking a joke, doing a movie, television show. I didn't want you to see me with tubes.
I don't believe this either.
Running out of me and
tubes running out of you. So what?
Everything about this video of Jamie Foxx is just sus. Like he's very vague. He looks weird. His goatee is fucked up. I tried to zoom in, but like it's almost like he either got radiation on one side of his face for some reason, or this, I don't know, like I almost am more inclined to think that like this is an AI generated video than
That's exactly what I was just about to say.
than
Yep.
that he was cloned or some shit and this is some like reproduction.
Exactly.
Or yeah, it's a
Does anyone remember
CGI
the
of
6
somebody
days?
else delivering the material.
Does
He's
anyone
basically-
remember the 6th day? Is all I'm going to say. We're literally living in the 6th day.
Yeah, look, cancer doesn't make your skull narrower. Okay.
Well, it could be a weird like effect from the camera or
Yeah.
something.
Right. It's
Right.
also it depends
Cell
on
phone,
when
right.
that picture was taken, you know, because he's done all different kinds of roles. So it could have been when a time when he had much more body mass because of the role that he was playing called for that type of physique versus, you know, here clearly somebody who doesn't look like he's carrying around a whole lot of weight at the moment.
Can
I
we
mean,
just
given
have a look
that
at
Hollywood? There could be makeup and stuff involved, right, with his presentation, but he looks like he got reverse Dave Chappelle. Like he's gaunt, and he looks like
he
he's
looks
been in a hospital
emaciated.
bed, getting no sun.
Well, he's also got a lot of light on him in this
Yep.
video. You have to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
I was just about to say I've done a little bit of, well, a reasonable amount of portrait photography, and
Yeah.
lighting is the key. You know, that can change everyone. You know, all those things of here's Cheryl before and now here's Cheryl after. You'll always have a look at the lighting. It's probably been taken half an hour later. But anyway, look at the shape. You can't see my cursor. Look at the shape of his head just there on the top left
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not natural.
Yeah.
That to me looks generated, just from my point
Well,
of view as a
the
video editor.
AI cannot get shit quite right yet. So that's again, I'm
That
like,
could be
this
the
look-
beard thing.
This, but it's his official Instagram. I mean, like, so the
don't mean shit.
mystery of what happened to Jamie Foxx is still very much alive. Like, let me play the rest of this. It's just so weird. It's just so weird.
What's going on with you? Why, now that you're okay, why can you not tell the people still what you went in the hospital for in the first place? Why you still can't tell all your fans that your family asked for the prayers? Why can't you still inform those people on what they was praying on? That's like me asking you, can I borrow $50? And then I don't tell you what I need the $50 for. Oh, well,
Right.
nigga, you can't
Yeah.
get my money then.
This guy, he'll
Nigga,
play
you
the
can't
video.
tell me what you got going on.
And trying to figure out if I was gonna make it through. And to be honest with you, my sister Deidre Dixon, my daughter Corinne Marie saved my life. So,
And he never actually explains why or how his sister Deidre, that passed away, might I add, at the age of 36.
to them, to God, to a lot of great medical people. I mean,
A lot of great medical people.
If he was seeing Deidre, he was about dead. He was about dead when he was seeing Deidre.
For
sure.
Okay, so I did a little digging. He's got a couple of sisters. So this guy's assuming he's talking about his dead sister, but he has a living sister. Supposedly, the weird thing is he's got like multiple kids, and he refers to his daughter at some point. She's the only one with his stage name of Fox, whereas the rest of them, it's like his legal name. I don't know. You know, this is all like, I didn't do a lot of deep digging, but
Yeah, but is his other sister's name Deidre? Because he just said my sister. And when I talk about my sister, I
yeah.
just refer to her by one name or the nickname I give her.
Did he
It's
say
not-
Deidre?
Yeah, he did. And he used a first and last name, which is really weird. It's not how you address your
If
family.
you know anybody that's been on death's door and survived, like they'll tell you they saw their dead relatives around them and shit.
Sure, but he said my daughter and my sister. He didn't say that I saw them, while I was dead. We can.
No, he just said that she saved
they
his
saved-
life,
Right. You don't.
which could
say-
mean anything.
Yeah, that could
mean
be like
absolutely
a
anything.
bone marrow transplant or something like that. But
Matter of fact,
devil's
it's better because you're going to ascribe the value to that statement that he just made.
Yeah. Well, okay,
When someone saves your life, they do something. When you see a vision of your dead, insert family member name, whatever, you don't say they saved my life. You say I saw them and they pushed me back into life. That's the thing. This doesn't sound like a man who's come into the memories of his living body. If we believe that organ harvesting is the thing, if we believe every conspiracy theory that we've ever thought, even 5 years ago, which was absolutely asinine and insane, exists, and then we say, all right, well, the way we start functioning in this world is either through patterns, and a lot of patterns we see are through the movies and bits and pieces that they give us. And like I said, The Sixth Day. And it was a cute little campy film, right? A futuristic film with Arnold Schwarzenegger. But the clones acted like they were Respawned and they needed some time to kind of like get that spiritual download back into their memory. This is, I know it sounds crazy. 5 years ago, I would have been like, Rose, you are nuts. But in today's day and age, who just disappears from the limelight and says, oh, no, I'm back. Don't worry. I just needed a mental health, day. No, they're doing something. They're experimenting. It's mind control. And
Look,
what better specimen than the people who you pay to have a good life? You own them.
I'm inclined to maybe agree with you. Like I want to remain skeptical on this because again, I think the more maybe probable explanation as opposed to cloning is that this is AI. But the weirdest thing, I mean, just look at this frame that we're freezed on here. His, the right side, from our perspective on the left, but his right side, he's missing an eyebrow and he's missing half his goatee. I mean, like,
localized chemotherapy
or radiation.
And the top part of his head looks like it's caved in.
He also supposedly maybe had a stroke, and I think his face looks a little droopy. It's almost like maybe this video was real but doctored. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to like I don't know, make the best of a bad situation here. But let me play the rest. It's weird. He talks about going to hell and back. And he even addresses the conspiracy theory that he might be a clone. It's so weird. I'm like, I'm not willing to write it off because as we were saying, it's like shit is sometimes right on the nose. Like Puff Daddy is a diddler. Go fucking figure, right? He told us P. Diddy, like, yeah, he's a diddler. Maybe this guy joking about being a clone is like a bad attempt at covering the truth. I don't fucking know, but I'll play the rest. This shit's just too weird.
Video. I cannot tell you how great it feels to have your family kick in such a way. And y'all know they kept it airtight. They didn't let nothing out. They protected me. What I hope that
that's interesting.
Could have in moments like these.
Interesting. Look at the lump on his head, man. They done turned dog to one of the cone heads for real, man. This shit really crazy, man. Head about long as hell.
Now, by being quiet, sometimes things, get out of hand. People saying what I got. Some people said I was blind, but as you can see, the eyes are working. Eyes are working just fine. Said I was paralyzed. I'm not paralyzed. But I did go through. I went to hell and back.
Who's Helen?
Man, y'all gotta catch the cold talking that's going on, man. Yeah, he went to hell and back. Yeah. Jamie, Jamie went to hell and Tyrone came back. Yeah. Yeah, that's what happened.
Tyrone got cloned. I'm like, is this not just like predictive programming? Except it's not
pretty damn good marketing.
Yeah, well, no fucking shit.
Yeah.
Man. A lot of people are gonna watch that movie.
Yeah, look, that could exactly be what it is. AI included.
Do you guys remember, right? Like, I don't know if you've ever watched or rewatched a movie recently, like from the 90s, and you're like, well, this could have never happened. And then you had some like bits and pieces in movies, and you were like, holy shit, Like, this was predictive, right? Like, they always say this about The Simpsons. I never watched this. I don't watch much TV, but right there, it's not that The Simpsons are predictive. Everything is predictive programming. What was that movie with Sandra Bullock, The Net, right? She ordered a fucking pizza with her computer. That was like unheard of. In The Sixth Day, right? Because I referenced that movie. They had this mirror, like Arnie, I think it's Arnold. So he's like looking at himself and he's like, okay, today I don't feel well. And there's like all this personalized information. And he goes, okay, these pills are personalized for me. We have that. It's literally a startup. You have remote controlled helicopters, right? AKA drones. You have facial recognition. You have lasers, right? You have a heads-up display with like this AI, I don't know, like futuristic goggles that they use. The movie pretty much predicted this current day and age and everything we use, and you're going to tell me that everything but the clones? It's just like, it's so on the nose. Like,
Yeah.
I know the pieces fit.
I remember that movie well. That was actually a movie I really liked as a kid, and I actually think it's interesting that there's the whole charade that like everybody knows they can clone their pets and keep their pets alive, but they pretend like cloning humans is still illegal, even though it definitely happens. Now, I mean, how many years has it been since Dolly the sheep?
Yeah, exactly. Just about to say Dolly.
If they
it
were
was about
gonna
500
clone-
dollies, by the way.
If they're going to clone humans, this is what they would do it for, to have doubles for key people. This Jamie Foxx, if it's a clone, has to maintain that this is safe and effective and yada, right? That's a big deal.
It's pretty
That's a lot
weird
of
that he
weight
fell off the
behind.
map for 3-4 months. He fell off the map for a long time.
Yeah,
Those
Michael,
people get paid as well, like not to talk about stuff.
I've said that a number of times. I don't know whether it was on this podcast or my own, but about how it's very, I find it quite odd that a lot of people, whether they be actors, but people of note, actors, politicians, leaders, etc., are disappearing and then coming back. And it always seems to be at least 2 weeks. And it's always under the guise of, oh, they got COVID. I mean,
Well,
COVID's been a cover for so many things, hasn't it?
Speaking of Dave Chappelle, he famously disappeared to South Africa, supposedly.
Yeah, did he just? Right. Okay, there
Yeah,
you go.
for a couple months or whatever,
Came back
you know.
darker and thicker, the opposite of what I just saw.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, like, what is happening to these people? I don't know about the cloning thing. My way out there theory is that these people have done their little job. They've fulfilled their contract. They are now down in the bunkers, and they're being projected, possibly from underground, or let's say on the way out thing, there is a clone on the surface here.
Yeah.
Ando's trying so hard to stay in the chat, but his technology has failed him. But that's the wrong one. Let's play out the rest of this. There's a little more to it.
And my road to recovery had some potholes as well, but I'm coming back, and I'm able to work. So I want to thank the people that let me work.
That to me was the weirdest statement he made.
Yep.
The people that let me work. Okay, I'm gonna go back. Here we go.
I'm coming back, and I'm able to work. So I want to thank the people that let me work, and I just want to say that I love everybody, and I love all of the love that I got. And man,
ears.
So okay, this guy's gonna do his
People that let me
commentary.
work
The
could
people
be
that
the
let me
fan
work.
base.
And this is the moment where he kind of acts like he's choking up, but I see no actual evidence of him choking up. He makes a reference to like, oh, if I cry, it's because I, whatever, like I got so close to dying that I get emotional. I'm like, dude, I think you're just, I don't know. I think he's full of shit, man. I think he sold his damn soul.
I think he was thanking the Screen Actors Guild. I think that's what he meant by the people that let him work.
Right.
Well, I find that that stutter that he said. I'm not a body language expert, but I have done a little bit of psychology for my retail job years ago, and looked into it because I find it very interesting. And a lot of people do say that there is a tendency to stutter when what they're about to say is something they either don't believe or it's a lie, or they just don't want to say it. So it's just that little tiny note.
Yeah, I mean, I'll confirm from personal experience. I think whenever I tell a lie, I fumble over it. Because
I also think
it tastes bad in my mouth. That's just natural.
Exactly. Yeah. And I also think that AI is so damn good now that they've actually really, like, you think about when Dragon Speak first came out, that was like the voice dictation software in the really early days. There's probably other ones. It was pretty crap. Now it's pretty good. There is code to add inflections and all that sort of thing. So that's improved vastly. And I think also that has also worked in a visual sense for people too, that they are so good. They have really captured humanness, human responses, human facial expressions, falters. I see that they program in like mistakes, that humans make. They're really good at that now. So it's so convincing. And I heard that 90% by 2026, 90% of the internet is going to be fake.
Yep.
It's like the Running Man,
just
in
like
addition
space.
to that 6 Days movie or whatever.
I want to get Ando's opinion while we've got him. Oh, damn, he just left.
Damn it.
You're playing
We
with
had
him.
him for a moment.
I should have knocked on wood that I just cursed him by even saying it, but I'm going to assume that I can't decide. I could see him going with AI or clone, honestly. 50-50. I can't claim to know what he thinks, but I don't know.
Come on, Ando.
Well, okay, maybe we just play a little more then
Yes.
while we wait. Here we go.
Ears activate. Actor mode. Movie scene activate.
I know they talk about people crying on videos. You can do take two, but I'm not gonna do a take two. It is what it is. And if you see me out from now on, and every once in a while I just burst into tears, is because it's been tough, man. I was sick, man, but now I got my legs out under me, so you're gonna see me out. But like I said, I just want you to remember me for the jokes that I crack.
I want you to remember me.
Right. If you're going to see me out, why do you need to remember me?
Yeah.
I'm saying
you guys remember that
everything
movie,
about this video is super weird. That's all
that
I'm saying.
movie True Romance? And oh God, I can't remember the actor's name, but he talks to Christopher Walken. He's like, a man has 17 pantomimes, a woman has 20. Do you guys remember that scene? That's all I'm thinking about when I see this. And one of like the pantomimes that men have to indicate that they're lying or that they're not being authentic or real, whatever, is jitters. It's that hesitation, that reluctance, exactly the way Jamie Foxx is speaking. If you pull up a different interview of Jamie Foxx, you'll see he has a very different cadence. Like he has, I guess, the timbre of his voice is quite different. It is not him speaking. His speech is too hesitant. It's too slow. He is a trained actor. He should be speaking better than all of us on this podcast combined. He looks like he's speaking under duress.
Yeah,
it's very
I
possible that
actually-
he's
yeah.
recovering from a surgery to the lymph nodes under his jaw.
Or if they removed a stroke, like a clot or something.
Blood clot,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, or he's on medication to play devil's advocate.
His face looks weird. I'm just saying. And I'm
The hair loss is.
Yeah.
Is that lighting?
I doubt it. The goatee is too weird. I know the little place symbols right over top of it, but the goatee, I mean, if you're not noticing that,
That's where they want the play symbol to be.
And like I said, the eyebrow and the goatee on the same side of his face, like he's lost hair. He's lost hair. And honestly, this shit on the top of his head could just be brushed on. Like,
yep. But look at
like a lot of people pointed out that his hairline is usually like flatter across. So I'm just thinking that's a painted on hair. He might have lost all the hair off his dome and like most of his goatee, you know.
If he had a stroke or he had Guillain-Barré syndrome or something like that, just look at his mouth. Like we're talking about the weirdness on his right, so our left. But if there was a problem with that side, how come his mouth is up on that side? It should be up on the other side,
his eyebrow
and it should
as
be
well.
flat
Mhm.
or dead on that side. So I don't think that's.
You know, and I don't have any answers, but I'm just gonna.
The YouTube
I'm gonna
guys
throw.
chose to pause on this weird moment.
I'm gonna throw out. You know, I don't have the clips, but like there are clips with like Puff Daddy and Jamie Foxx and Usher, and there's like all kinds of rumors that these guys all like basically fuck each other in the butt, and fucking, you know, Justin Bieber got like groomed in by Puff Daddy and Usher and all the rest of them, and fucking Justin Bieber had like facial paralysis. I'm like what? I don't know. I don't know. What the fuck? I don't fucking know. It's just, it seems like there's this weird like inner circle of people that are being either displayed on purpose or like publicly sort of sacrificed or like punished, or I don't fucking know, man.
Or
Do you
they're
remember
playing
when-
a role.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Or it's just a major psyop just to keep us all guessing and keep us confused. I don't know. I don't fucking.
I mean, these are the people that many of us have grown up watching on our screens, even though, you know, when we were growing up, the screen wasn't something that we could actually carry around in our pocket, but now it is. And they're going through their lives and experiencing things in COVID land, just like you and I are. You know, they're just regular human beings, just like us, and they, you know, they're thoughtful enough to actually show the rest of us that they're just like us.
Eventually, they won't need celebrities or feds. They'll just need like celebrity fed bots, right? AI
Sixth
fed
day?
bots.
That was in the 6th day. Absolutely.
Like when the CIA ran for public office, you know.
So we got Ando in the comments saying he thinks it's a clone.
Yes.
I kind of thought that was the way he would go.
Oh, here he is. Ando, are you with us? Ando. That's him. Is it a clone, bro?
Our
Is it
man
a
on the
clone?
street.
Oh shit.
Do you remember a while ago there was that thing of, you know, showing all the celebrities etc. with black eyes, even the Pope, you know, I mean everybody. It was like the Black Eye Club or whatever they called it. That was all part of the club. I'm just wondering if, you know, that sort of got a bit old and exposed, and now we're doing this thing instead, because it's sort of almost like now that, you know, I don't know much about celebrities. I don't watch television. I don't watch movies and stuff. You're muted, Mike. You're muted, Mike.
Yeah,
The man of sin is one-eyed.
I was gonna say, like, I don't even want to know about these celebrities, but it's just like in our faces, and it's the puppet show. Like, this is the
Yeah.
show that we're being told to watch.
Yep.
And it's
But like you,
yeah,
like
it's
you,
confusing.
It was either you or somebody just said about how, you know, these are the people that we grew up with and what have you, and I just sort of look at, you know, those sort of that age of actors are appealing to like a certain generation, and then you look at how the different generations are being appealed to, because you won't find this kind of thing in the younger generation take over. You'll find the things like, I mean, I don't know if you've seen that ridiculous trend where people make a lot of money out of just acting like an NPC.
Ice cream.
That's just insane. I know.
Chicken nuggets.
Oh, help
Chicken
me.
tendies.
Beam me up, Scotty. There's no intelligent life down here.
It sounds like Ando's in the house. Finally, Ando, share your thoughts, bro. Is Jamie Foxx a clone or what?
He's totally a clone.
Totally.
Are we speaking to Andy?
What the fuck? I mean, like, we look at that video and compare it to anything. The dude's been around for a long time. Compared to anything he's ever done, he doesn't know anything like that.
Oh no!
If
And
you've
I
seen somebody battle cancer and take chemo, that's the effect of it.
Well,
Weird
I-
shit
see,
like bony skull sticking out and all that.
Yeah,
There's a
kinda
lot
gaunt, gaunt face. Yeah, I'm inclined to think chemo radiation still, but I respect Ando's opinion. I also disrespect Ando's internet connection.
As well you should.
Right. So let me just while Andy's coming back to
Yeah,
us.
I don't know what's going on. Like,
Yes, okay.
I'm trying really hard over here, but yeah, I think he's a fake, and I've lost you guys.
We can hear you. Bugger. Plug your
How did
phone in,
he lose
Ando.
us? Like, then tell us he lost us. Like,
So while
we
we're
froze. We
waiting
froze.
for
Oh,
Andy
we stopped moving.
to come back, okay, we've seen people with cancer, we've seen people with, you know, all these awful afflictions you guys have mentioned, whether it's a stroke, whether it's a heart attack, right? But they don't look this way. They don't look this way. And they don't sound this way. And when they talk about their procedures, and again, this is case study, and this is why I say, when you create certain, you know, you can't just say, okay, this is it, and I'm okay with, you know, this outcome. No, you have to create a framework of who's lying, how they're telling the truth, what they're doing, what's authentic, because that's the only way you get to learn the truth. So we were talking about Jamie Foxx. Let's talk about Britney Spears. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah,
Her
they
Instagram was right. Her Instagram was deleted. She had all these crazy videos. Oh, well, it was because she was on the conservatorship and she should not have been on it. You know, she lost her mind. No, it's her
No, they broke
clone
her.
malfunctioning. This is not the Britney we knew, right? Like I love taking certain dance classes, right? I do not grow up as a dancer, right? Like I did some ballroom, so my movements are very different. But when I go to a certain dance class, I'm like, I know you did this type of dance, you did this type of dance, and you see it because it's kind of muscle memory and it does not go away. When Britney does whatever she does, when Jamie Foxx, you know, interacts and moves, it's not the way the muscle memory is natural to him or to her. I'm not even like a celebrity ingester. Like I don't have a TV. I don't own the TV. I've not watched a movie in a very long time. This was kind of, you know, this was an inside joke I had with a friend, because bimbo nationalism. But there's no way anyone can look at this and say this is an authentic person. It's as authentic as, like, you know, the president telling you he wants to help you out, and COVID, and that they developed a shot because they wanted to keep the population healthy. No fucking way.
All the abuse and control and MK Ultra and drugs have just left her a fucking blown out shell.
Well, that's what I assumed. We even brought her up like last week, I think.
And the people themselves have been so cruel.
I assumed her brain was broken, but I almost like the theory of malfunctioning clone more, just because it's a better story.
Well,
Ando claims that the current Britney is a man.
I think if a clone thing is real, they have to like age rapidly, right, to be ready. So they would have like a short lifespan, and they probably, you know,
maybe they can program the age.
Yeah, like progeria gene and whatever, and turn off the thing and turn on the thing.
Probably why.
Turn it up to 11.
That's probably why Joe Biden degenerated so quick. They've been just throwing him out there like new one every 2 weeks. You know,
get another Jimmy or Timmy or whatever. What was it, Mr. Wizard thing where he blew up the kid every time?
Let's watch just a little more of this clone, shall we?
Yes.
Me. But you're right here. Why do I need to remember you? You're right here. It's giving eulogy. It's giving funeral. Yeah. That's what it's.
There almost could be a theory to be had here that he did in fact lose his soul, and that he is referring to himself in like a eulogetic, if that's a word, kind of way, because he is now an empty shell of a human, a husk.
That trope where people die and then what comes back is not them, but some spirit that's been waiting for a chance to get in.
Mm-hmm.
He's an NPC, a zombie, whatever you want to call it.
It's demonic
right now.
Say what?
It's demonic, right? And it
Demonic,
very much
demonic.
correlates to the age of AI.
Like I said, he said hell and back. I went
Agreed.
to hell and back. Here we go.
Why do I need to remember you for the jokes that you crack when you can still crack jokes now? Yeah, this sound like somebody, man. Man, come on, man. Come on. How evident does this stuff have to be, man? And people just not gonna get it, bro. That's what really fathom. It really baffles me, bro. It really baffles me.
The movies that I make, some of them good, some of them ain't. I think I got a good one out.
Plugging his movie right in the middle of this shit.
But
Also
listen,
weird.
here's my hot take. This man knows he only has a short time to live. For real. He is injured, and he's barely survived the first wave of what it's doing to him. He wants to put money away for his family. Same as Bruce Willis when he sold the rights to his image and likeness to every B movie, you know?
Yeah.
He's trying
Bruce
to-
Willis, he did try to pump out as much money as he could in the last, year or two
This
that
man,
he had. Yeah.
he reminds me of somebody that just went through chemo and doesn't feel like they're gonna win the way he's talking. That's just my hot take. But those rates went up 60%. In
He's got like more than
correlation
one.
is not equal causation.
He's got like 2 movies coming out, including the one that just dropped. Like, and I think they finished the other one they referred to in one of these clips where it's like he had a mental breakdown, and I think they like kind of finished it post-production. Like he went into the hospital and they're like finishing the movie without him. It's like, we don't need you no more. We've got fucking AI. Thank you very much.
Did you hear they're trying to do that with extras?
Yeah.
Like
They own your likeness and shit. And I think this is part of what's going on with the writer's strike.
AIDS from a hand job or something, right?
I saw a video of Bob Odenkirk, from Better Call Saul and all that shit. He was talking about the writer's strike. He's like a member of, SAG and all this shit. And he says basically like part of it is that they don't want AI to take over the human work, right? I don't know, man. Like all of this shit is connected. That's all I have to say.
Well, I will say that if that is true and that they did not want AI to take over the entertainment industry, they might have picked maybe the worst possible way to try and fight it. Let's just create a void that needs to be filled, and we're not going to do anything to fill it.
We're going to go on strike and give you every opportunity to replace us because we're a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and is there also a part of showing how humans are redundant?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That's
that has to be demonstrated to us by our new overlords. Yeah.
Yep, it's always in our face.
I'm gonna keep it playing here.
Songs that I sing, man. And then, somebody was talking about I'm clone. Well,
here we go. Finally with the clone. All right. Let's see what he has to say about that.
Check this out.
I wish.
First of all,
he could have done it. He
That
could have
was a bad
splurged on that.
attempt.
What are those, 50 grand? He could have done it.
It was not very good timing comedically, honestly. He's trying to make a joke for the listener that's not watching this video. Jamie Foxx says, and this guy kind of interrupted. He goes, and to address, the rumors that I'm a clone, and he reaches and he acts like he's going to pull off a mask.
Like
And then
Mission
he's
Impossible.
Like Mission
Tom Cruise.
Impossible.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then he goes, I'm just playing. But it's like not funny, dude. It's not funny. Like he did not deliver it very well. I'll go back just a hair.
Well, I think I got a good one out. And the songs that I sing, man. And then, somebody was talking about I'm clone. Well,
here we go. Finally with the clone. All right. Let's see what he has to say about that.
check this out.
First of all, that was a bad attempt of a joke because a clone. We didn't say that you was wearing a mask that you can just pull off. We didn't say you was wearing a mask. We said that you was a clone, not a mask. A clone can't just peel they. No. We said a clone.
Just kidding. I'm a clone, man, but I'm here on Earth because of some great people. I'm here on Earth because of God, man.
Some great
so
people.
I love all y'all. I just wanted to jump on here and let you know that I'm on my way back in love.
And that's his statement. And it's very
it's funny. Like, I could have just pulled up the Instagram, the video off of his Instagram. I looked it up. It's on there. I mean, it's legit. Like, this was posted to his personal, Instagram. And but I kind of liked getting the black man's like commentary a little bit, just because it's like, yeah, I don't know. He's like, this is bullshit, bro. That ain't fucking Jamie Foxx.
I love that.
Yeah, and there's no racism there, so that was safe.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the thing. We started with George Carlin talking shit on white people, and I don't know if like the connection is clear, but I just see this weird thing going on with like black masculinity being like subverted in a subtler kind of way. I guess, I don't know. Like, even thinking about Jamie Foxx, like, I don't know, like he's been intentionally like withheld from the public view, and he's coming out now and he's just like saying like, oh, it's all cool, I'm not going to tell you what's really going on, but like, it's all good, like the doctors helped me, blah blah blah. But like, I don't know, man. I don't buy it, man. I don't buy it. Like, tell us what the fuck is going on.
Again, it really sounds to me, along with my theory that he's battling severe illness right now while he's filming that, is he's only burning on like 6% of his life force or something, and he's barely able to do this performance. And they paid him very well and his family, and by they I mean the company's responsible to not talk about it. So that's as much as he can say.
But I just can't.
That's my hot
he's
take.
He's too big to just disappear. Like, that's why they didn't just. I guess
That's absolutely true. Like I
kill him,
said earlier, if cloning was going to be used, it would be in a situation like this.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't get over the difference of his skull. I mean, you can't change his face is narrower. You can't change your bone
When people
structure
waste
like that.
away under radiation therapy, then you really do start to see crazy.
Not like this.
Stuff in their
Pull up some
skull.
images.
He's
Pull
lost
up
about
some
3
images.
inches off the width of his face. That's probably an exaggeration, but
I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
just
think it's
playing
just the
devil's
video
advocate,
either.
too, 'cause I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, we have to. I think that's a good thing. It just looks
Well,
a bit
guys,
too radical.
I gotta go pack. I'm going to Greece in a few days to see family. I'm not Greek though. I'm Russian. It's the meet in the middle point. But it was wonderful to get to know all y'all. I'll see you again. And
Have a lovely time.
Thank you. And I'm gonna try to fight all the clones.
I'm glad you grabbed the hat. It's adorable.
Thank you.
Amazing.
I'll be on another one of these with a different hat. I am a hat appreciation account.
The woman of many hats.
Yes. Thank you guys. Have a great Sunday.
Thank you, Rose.
Take
Good to
care.
see you again.
You too.
Yep.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Travel safe.
Well, for the comparison of faces, here you go. I mean, it's just the beginning of this video we just watched, but like, it is a striking difference. I don't know. He looks either fully emaciated or like a different motherfucker. I mean, the like I said, it could be a weird like effect just from the camera. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
they can squeeze. They can squeeze, like width-wise. They can squeeze video, so it's not beyond the realms of possibility.
But I mean,
that
the eyes look sunken in. The
Very black.
goatee is mega fucked up. His ears are tucked. Like, his face looks.
Wait a minute. Do you see much of that goatee in the before picture? Like the connecting.
The weird thing to me, there.
The weird thing to me is
but his
missing in
eyebrow
both.
is there.
it's
I
like
just
in the
fucked the shit
wrong.
out of my monitor.
It's like in the wrong place. Like it almost looks like he has like a facial scar here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Or
Yeah.
like the skin got pulled over or something.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's just fucking weird,
There's
man.
just something not right.
Yeah.
Turbo C word could lead into these kinds of things.
Yeah. But you know, I don't have much else to add to this. Like, you know, I guess
Clones are more fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I-
Clones have more fun.
completely. They've been
I
cloning
guess
super
so.
soldiers and stuff, right? Human Z's and all that for ages, right?
Oh, we're not supposed to know about that.
Shh.
So I do have something. Okay, so like Kanye, like yay, like he's still kind of a question mark. Ando fucking loves Kanye, you know, like they for sure went after Kanye, right? Like, I mean, I don't think he's a part of the Matrix. Like they debanked him, they fucking went after him, right? And apparently, like Cube and Kanye used to have beef, but they've like made nice recently. Which again, I'm just like, I almost want to throw these guys the benefit of the doubt because they're fallible. But like,
Did Ye go into crypto?
Well, I was gonna say just what appears to me they're fallible in like an honest way.
When they banked Ye, did he go into crypto?
He's got money somewhere. I guarantee it. It's in the Cayman Islands or something. You know.
Just saying, if he was in on it and the head of it, you know, and he wanted to go into crypto anyway, and make it part of the show. I got debanked. I had to go get Bitcoin. It was a risk I took because of they were oppressing me. It's the smartest thing he could have done.
Well,
The Cayman Islands.
Cryptocurrency's horrible if it's called Bitcoin, but it's great if it's a CBDC. So don't forget that. But yeah, let's see. You know, again, there's like this weird web of all these like black celebrities, and Cube and Kanye have a connection. You know, I'm just saying there's something going on with all this shit.
Because it makes not only the person that's getting canceled, they're trying to shut them up, but anybody's watching now, they shut up because they say, if it can happen to this guy, it can happen to me.
Ice Cube is exposing a secret industry club of gatekeepers who allegedly tried to sabotage his career and eliminate Kanye West. In a new interview, Cube opened up about his recent reconciliation with Kanye and shared more details about how the Hollywood elites and gatekeepers tried to demonize him and tried to take him out. However, the responses to Ice Cube's anti-gatekeepers tour have been mixed, with many fans saying he should continue exposing the evil side of the industry, and others trying to silence him and accusing him of being a conspiracy theorist. So what did Cube say about reconciling with Kanye? Did the Hollywood gatekeepers really try to eliminate Ye? Let's get into it.
I believe he's doing great. You know, he's still, you know, dealing with some people trying to hold on to his money. But for the most part, I believe he's in a good space.
If you haven't caught up yet, Ice Cube has been actively revealing the secrets of Hollywood gatekeepers, and he recently went viral after seemingly implying that the industry elites tried to get rid of Kanye West. To give you some background, Cube and Ye have been friends for many years. However, their friendship hit a bump in the road last year when Kanye made some controversial comments about Cube during his appearance on the Drink Champs podcast. The controversy started back in October when Kanye was accused of anti-Semitism after sharing a series of since-deleted tweets. Kanye later clarified that he was referring to specific shady Hollywood executives who tried to sabotage him. But even so, he was immediately blacklisted, lost multiple lucrative contracts, and got banned from all social media platforms. But Kanye refused to back down, and he started his own podcast tour, exposing all the sinister ways in which the industry handlers tried to discredit him. During one of these podcast appearances, Kanye recalled how back in 2016, he was placed on an involuntary psychiatric hold after being wrongly diagnosed, and he seemingly implied that his handlers tried to poison him with lithium.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, look, they tried to medicate me. I was exhausted. They wrongly diagnosed me, and they when I asked them how much lithium did you want to put me on exactly, it took them 4 days to answer because they were embarrassed about the amount, right? And I refused to take this, right? You understand that if I had taken the medication, I would not be here, and it would have been, he was deeply troubled. We miss him. We love his music, though.
Well, they would have Britney Spears you. I mean, look.
They would have Michael Jackson
or worse, yeah.
So look at what they did. Look
Okay. Any comments?
Yeah.
Did you notice how Kanye had a little smirk on the corner of his face when he made that Michael Jackson comment? Like, kind of like, look what I'm getting away with.
Letting out the little secrets, or
Mhm.
what do you mean? Yeah,
quiet part. That was the quiet part.
Saying it out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good catch.
Nobody talks about MJ. No.
We talked about MJ and
We
about
did.
how he had so much Sony music catalog that he was like, or he had so much of the catalog that is worth so much.
Yeah.
To bump him off would be profitable for whoever got it.
So again, Ice Cube claims that the same people who own the record labels, i.e., the people that might have sort of kind of killed Michael Jackson, own the fucking private prisons. You know,
I got hard when he was saying that because I've been believing that since I feel like I watched it happen in real time, and I tell people it was 9/11 that I saw happen in real time. Like when I heard it on the radio, I was like, "This is bullshit," but it was actually the gangster rap. I was like, they're destroying. This is how the white man is destroying these black people. This is the attack. It's this gangster rap because
I almost, again, like if I'm giving Ice Cube just a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, I almost feel like he's starting to realize that he has been a part of the psyop. Like, what's funny? I saw when I was doing some research about this, apparently Chris Tucker's worth of based or bogus, because apparently he turned down the role for like Friday 2. I don't know if you've all seen Friday, but that was Ice
apparently he was
Cube's.
on the Epstein Airlines.
Was he?
Four
Oh,
times or something,
many times. Yeah.
Oh shit. Well, then again, maybe my money's on Ice Cube, but apparently
Chris Tucker's sus as fuck.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, he claims that he turned down the role because he didn't want to encourage like potheads in the black community, and that's like what the character was that he was playing. But maybe
it's all optics with these people. It's all optics, though, right? They're all.
Can I just have a couple of comments of what we just saw?
Please.
As an Aussie who's not plugged into all these, things, I did notice. What does the Big Three mean? Is that a brand or something? Big Three.
It's his business.
It's his. He's got a basketball league, and he's been claiming that the NBA's been like doing some like borderline like corporate espionage type shit to shut down. He's basically running what they would call like a street ball style league where it's 3-on-3 instead of 5-on-5.
They're coming in for their percentage, like the mob or something, basically.
Yeah, so he's been going ham, like punching up at the NBA, punching up at who he claims are the gatekeepers, but kind of like Drizzle said earlier, it's like, all right, so you're talking shit on the gatekeepers, but you're going to, Bill Maher and Joe Rogan, and like, who's to say they're not gatekeepers?
They are the gatekeepers. That's what I was trying to say.
Right.
They are. But it's like it's a double-edged sword with them. I've been burning to say this. It's like okay, you're under the water, then you're not aware of the truth of what's going on, right? But then it's like a cliff and just deep water. People like Ice Cube and people that are like 80-90% right are like the sloping, what's it called? The shelf, right? The sandy shelf that extends out at the shore for these people that would otherwise drown and not make it. It's like there's something they're pulling in this direction towards the truth, at least, when everything is a lie. It's like I can't hate it. I love it. I'm so happy.
Yeah. See, I'm
all
trying to
all of the musicians I ever listened to are way worse than what I see Ice Cube doing.
I want to take sort of a nuanced position here and say like, yeah, okay, like Ice Cube wants reparations. I fucking disagree, but that's not enough of a reason for me to think that he's a full-blown, op. Like, I think he's trying. I already said this, but that's my impression. Versus Jamie Foxx, who's basically saying whatever he's told to say, in my opinion.
Just getting back to what I was going to say there is the thing with Kanye is I do wonder why he was involved in the Balenciaga fashion show, because that was very recent. And that's like this, well, hang on one hand you're doing this, and on the other hand you're doing that. So that's one thing. But the other thing I wanted to say was about the MK Ultra. Is it possible that these people are getting to the point where somebody touched on that they are sort of waking up, that like maybe Ice Cube is, hang on, I'm part of this. Oh my God. So they're waking up, and I don't know whether he's disappeared himself, but is there a point where the MK Ultra programming is like, okay, we need to reprogram. So they're going to disappear for a while. They'll come back reprogrammed, because MK Ultra does have a run out. Like they usually say it's around about the age of 30, but I can see Ice Cube is older than that. But that would depend on when his programming started, I suppose, if that's the case.
Well, it's an interesting point that you make there, Stella, because based on my research, you're correct in that the expiration date on an MK Ultra subject seems to be around the 30-year mark. However, the handlers of the MK Ultra subjects, they can be as old as humans can get.
Right. And the 30 sort of year old mark of where it seems to run out is when it's happened, like programming has happened from very, very young. So if programming didn't happen till a little later, maybe it runs out at, I don't know. I don't know enough
That's a good
about
point.
it.
That's a good point. You're muted, Mike.
Thank you. I always feel halfway self-conscious when I dominate the stage here as far as like leading into topics and shit. I hope we're not disregarding anything, but this all felt to me to be relevant and important. And one of the questions in my mind all day today, I'm like, why in the last 2 weeks am I getting so much Ice Cube in my feed?
Because you're supposed to see it.
Yeah, well, there's that. Also,
Yes.
can I have a little
promoting
small theory
things.
on that?
Well, I was only going to just say before I let it go is I had the same feeling about Sound of Freedom. I'm like, why is it so in my face?
I was just about to say, I think that's connected because the Sound of Freedom has come out, and as Mike knows, I got a bit sucked into that one. But can say, yep, I was wrong about that. My discernment was a little off, but boy, Tim Ballard's a bloody good actor, and I think they're all getting acting experience too. By the way, how to cry crocodile tears, etc. But I think possibly because we as truth seekers, we're reasonably powerful, okay, because we may expose things to people who don't see things, so they obviously are going to target us. And I just
Well, truth seekers
lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll jump in and kind of bounce off of it a little bit. But truth seekers also still have a want to believe, and that thing that they want to believe in is the truth. And many people who chase the truth are susceptible to the psychological operation of something like a Sound of Freedom, or
thank you.
Like a contract for Black America or something along those lines. So it's again, it's still preying upon those natural human instincts that we all have, which is why we need to be very careful in analyzing these characters that we see on our screens.
Yep, for sure. But thank you for sparking that. So the Sound of Freedom, I feel, is sort of, there's a lot of people waking up to that in the sense that it seems to have been exposed, the roots of these people, if that is true, going into, the Mormonism, the Freemasonry, etc., etc. So is it like, oh, that got exposed a little bit quicker than we thought, chuck the cube in? I don't know. Is this another distraction to? It's like, well, the Sound of Freedom is kind of running out already. We need to, plan B or plan J. What are we up to? P, Q.
Do you have a plan? I don't have a plan.
The SPARS
but
plan,
they do.
That was like they war gamed out what to do after. They war gamed out Event 201, right? Or maybe it was before or around the same time, but they did the SPARS thing. I forget what that stands for, but
yeah, I
looked through it, and it was like basically the people find out that the thing that was pushed was a failure and harmed people, and they lose faith in institutions. It undermines public faith in all the institutions, the way we undermine faith in Bud Light, the way we undermine faith in the father figure and the family and in everything that we've come to rely on. Like,
Yeah,
I think it's part of tearing us down, having us tear ourselves down.
they're not ad-libbing any of this. They've got stuff up their sleeve ready to shoot. As soon as we reach this point, launch this bit. This is not just by chance. This is by design, all of it. And this is why
I
they
think
have
they
to
have
keep
AI helping
continually.
them
Yeah,
now with their stuff,
I
their
think they
planning
probably
and
always
stuff.
have, because AI would have probably been around a lot longer than we know about, as we seem to know about the technology is, 50 years or whatever ahead before it reaches any kind of domestic level. I mean, even in the internet itself.
Right. You're right. Absolutely. 50 years ahead. Yeah.
Ish. You're muted, man. We need a hot mic.
Thank you. As usual, it's kind of like we have no firm answers on the WTF forum, which is why it's not called like the "we're going to tell you what to think" forum. It's the "what the fuck" forum, And like, I don't want to claim to have any Gnosticism about any of this. Jamie Foxx, Kanye West, any of these motherfuckers. I don't prescribe, or I don't think that I have the ability to know what's going on in someone else's head. But when it comes to this issue of like discernment and like who to put faith in, I mean, I'm not saying don't put faith in anybody necessarily, but like just be really fucking careful who. I said at the beginning of the show that I went earlier today to a no agenda meetup, and my gut, my discernment, maybe the Holy Spirit, I don't know what to call it, tells me that I can trust John and Adam from No Agenda more than the average, because they just seem real, and like Jamie Foxx don't seem real. Clone AI don't fucking really matter. My gut says not to trust him, and then you got guys in the middle, like I said, like the Joe
There's
Rogans.
something he's not telling you, obviously.
Yeah, they're
Literally.
the guys in the middle, like the Joe Rogans and the Russell Brands and shit, that have such a cult, following, a loyal following. I'm like, those are the guys to me that are the most dangerous, because they've cultivated trust and faith by saying just enough based stuff. I'll still listen to them, but I listen with a grain of salt, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are called Pied Pipers. That is the term that I gave them a couple of years ago, and I have heard actually somebody else say that too, which is kind of cool. That's what they're doing. Yeah. But I mean, do we know the story where the Pied Piper? I mean, basically all the children, funnily enough, all the
Hamlin.
children follow this guy, yeah, and they end up falling off a cliff. So there's only one really in the end that we can trust.
Yeah,
I feel like what you said earlier struck something in me. Like when you said you can't follow man or whatever. And I was like, yeah, because like there's a voice that you can only hear and still, in the quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And you
I
have
never
to be
hear
alone.
Kanye's voice in my quiet times.
And you're never going to hear that voice if you're following some dude. And if you're walking through that scene in Monty Python where there's like just a fucking row of street prophets, like, you're probably never gonna fucking hear it,
dude.
That's sometimes you gotta get out of there.
That's a really good image to bring up. The row of street prophets. I mean,
That's what it is.
We've got so many of those false prophets.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to discern which are trustworthy. I would say most aren't.
We're living
it's hard to meet people that I have so much respect for telling the truth in a big way to so many people, and I feel like that's the greatest thing you can do, And I'm I lose myself in this orbit. I'm like a fucking comet that's just turning into gas and light and fucking steam, like almost. Like I just what's my purpose? Like I don't even know. I'm just helping this guy with it's like I feel like that a little bit. Like
I'm not trying to necessarily like suck on John and Adam from No Agenda.
It's totally good to
Six.
plug into like a community and boost it up.
So the reason I think I fully decided to sort of trust No Agenda was when Adam, I don't know if you guys saw this, Adam Curry goes on Joe Rogan's show and for maybe the first time ever publicly declares his faith in Jesus Christ, which I'm not sure if anybody
Hallelujah.
has ever done on Joe Rogan's show. And he kind of dropped it like a lead, like 50 fucking ton.
And that's Man Show Adam Curry, right?
Well,
Same guy?
he was from MTV.
Someone
I think
else?
you're mixing him up with someone else. He was an MTV.
Yeah, you're mixing him up with someone
VJ.
else.
He was an MTV VJ, known for his immaculate mullet, which I don't think he sports anymore. But anyways, him and John C. Dvorak. I mean, I'm just again, I'm not trying to suck their dicks, but they put on one of the most informative shows with the most humble and sort of nuanced perspective, and I trust them. I trusted them before, but then when he goes on Rogan and basically like I said, drop this fucking bombshell of like, shit's crazy right now. I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, it's hard to make sense of anything. Everything's fucking crazy, which is why I put my faith in Jesus Christ. And he dropped it hard. And I'm like, I'm not a practicing Christian. I don't pray the way I should or could. But that was just a moment of like, all right, this guy ain't fucking lying. He's right. Speaking it how he feels it. And he don't give no fucks. And that's why I'm like, that's the one show that I really fucking trust, Yeah.
And if you've been very selective and cut off and weaned everything that's ever lied to you even once, then you can start to build that trust with what you've got left, But it's a perilous danger because that's the leader that can lead you astray.
That's a really, really great statement. And sometimes it's very painful to cut off these people or things that lie to you. But, that's where that shows devotion and faith and trust in God as well. And I just want to say that we are living in such a polluted world of visual pollution. Everywhere you look, there's a sign, there's advertising. You can't go anywhere. Audio pollution, spiritual pollution. And I just want to say, Psalm 46:10 is be still and know that I am God. And you have to take some time out and be still because you won't hear that very quiet, polite, gentlemanly voice that doesn't try to force on you.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's
if you want to hear, it is a whisper. I mean, Matthew 7:7 is ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and the one who knocks, the door will be opened. So that's faith.
And that's faith is tricky for me, but it's just such a fucking positive message no matter which way you slice it, It's just
tricky
hard
for everyone.
It's just hard to live by, We want to know, but we can't. Not usually.
That's where faith comes in.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we should wrap up. We've got Andy back in the house after some long and arduous technical difficulties.
Time to say goodbye.
Let's any final thoughts? Ando, I'll give you the floor because you've had the hardest time.
Yeah, Ando, Burn Bevel Unburn, and the Doom Kitchen, libertylinks.io/the Doom Kitchen. Yeah, email me about all this crap. It's the Doom Kitchen at protonmail.com. I pass it to RBL, and I know he doesn't have anything to promote, but he should, because I know you have an Odyssey channel.
I stopped. I haven't in a long time. I kind of just quit. I pulled back. I want to promote The Last American Vagabond, and I want to promote Grand Theft World, and I want to promote Media Monarchy and CorbettReport.com. Chief among them, CorbettReport.com. Sorry, everybody else. I hate to do it to you. Free Thought Projects is pretty cool, there's some other stuff. And these guys, like the Drizzle here, I'd like to know more about Stella too. Awesome. Your voice is a melody. It's beautiful.
You should
Oh,
listen to her
bless you.
music.
Thank you.
You should listen to her music.
I would love to. Yeah.
Well, if you choose, you don't have to.
I'll send
It's
you
a free world.
a coupon voucher for a whole box of Tim Tam in exchange for an MP3.
I think I just fell in love.
Well, you know, RBL, it's okay to pull back and be still, as that little bit of
Yeah.
scripture tells us. Stillness is a virtue. So,
yeah.
Have you all ever, hey, non people that have been to the Southern Hemisphere, have you all ever enjoyed Tim Tam?
I had somebody mail me some from Australia, but I actually saw it locally too. It had been imported to like a Shop and Save or.
What'd you say? What'd you call it? I didn't catch that.
Tim Tam. It's like a cookie wafer with chocolate. Little cookies.
Oh, that sounds
It's a
good.
little bit of heaven on earth.
Yeah, they're good.
All right, Stella Q, plug your plugs. That sounds dirty when I say that.
Silky and crunchy. If you can picture like a silky crunch in your mouth just melting.
Mm-mm. Oh yeah, people who come to Australia leave, and the thing they miss most is the Tim Tams. So that's pretty cheap. Yeah, look, thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed this. It's been an awesome discussion, chat, and I've certainly come away with some interesting things to think about. So Union of the Unknowns is where I blurb on a little bit, and their sub show, which is Not Your Mama's News, which is a weekly news take. We have a bit of a laugh and investigate. But yeah, apart from that, just take some time out, go hug a tree, and have a listen for the voice of God. Bless you all.
That's great advice. Drizzle, what you got?
All right. Well, you can find all of my work at the central repository, which is manufacturingreality.org. Everything is there that has my digital fingerprints all over it. And you can also come out and hang out with me on Saturday nights on our Odyssey channel as we get a little weird with it and play some music. So come on out, have a good time.
Right on. And this is Mike the Polymath, Easy Peasy Podcast. You know, I'd say, first of all, we set a record, longest WTF forum so far.
Yeah,
love
that's what
it.
she said.
I just got here.
No, but I really appreciate y'all coming on. It was a good one, and we will catch you next time.
Woo.